A bundled infant beams contentedly while a voice questions if this child is truly human. In a clearing, 3 figures, a wizard, a goddess, and a swordsman, gather around the baby. Noticing the baby's small hands, the swordsman resolves that one day this child will wield a sword. The goddess, enchanted by the charming child, pledges to make him the finest healer in the world. The wizard declares that this child will become his successor and the most powerful wizard ever. A celestial voice grants the child a name that will shape his destiny, Will. Years later, a young Will races through a shadowy forest, accompanied by a large wolf. The ground fractures behind them as Will senses their pursuer is closing in. Alarmed, Will calls out to his wolf companion, Schultz. A gigantic green ogre bursts through the trees, its heavy steps shaking the ground. Schultz growls, aware that the monstrous beast is right behind them. The ogre emits a thunderous roar, its mouth wide open in fury. Perched on Schultz, Will calmly instructs his companion to create a diversion. With a swift motion, Will draws his sword from its sheath. He leaps off the wolf's back, landing gracefully on a thick tree root. Crouched on the root, Will taps his foot, poised to spring into action. Schultz races past the ogre, diverting its attention as the beast swings its club. With fierce determination, Will vows not to let the ogre harm the forest. He jumps from his perch, soaring toward the distracted ogre. His blade plunges deep into the ogre's shoulder, drawing a roar of pain. The injured ogre stumbles back, howling in agony from the sudden strike. Will delivers another powerful thrust, driving his sword into the creature's back. Cursing the wretched ogre, Will dodges a wild swing and prepares for another strike. With a fierce battle cry, he retaliates against the monstrous adversary. He lands a precise slash across the ogre's back, blood spraying everywhere. The colossal creature crashes to the ground, defeated, as Will and Schultz stand ready. In a serene clearing, Will sits surrounded by a circle of adoring forest animals. A small spiky creature appears injured, its eyes tightly shut in distress. Nearby, a rabbit watches with a mix of hope and concern. Will places his hands over the creature, casting a radiant healing spell. He reassures the creature that it's all better now, as a rabbit hops joyfully nearby. A small fluffy animal nudges his cheek, and he warmly acknowledges its gratitude. The thankful creature playfully tugs at Will's collar, capturing his attention. Will glances up, asking Schultz what the matter is. A simplified chibi style, Will gazes on with a blank, puzzled expression. Schultz reminds him that it's Woden's day, time for his sword training. The sudden reminder startles Will and the surrounding animals. Realizing he's running late, Will declares he needs to hurry and takes off. The forest creatures wave their paws, cheering him on and wishing him luck. He leaps with practiced skill through the rocky terrain of the forest. Schultz halts him, noticing his urgency and preparing to offer a ride. The great wolf tells Will to hop on for a quicker journey. Will gracefully jumps onto Schultz's back, ready for the ride. With a grateful smile, he thanks his loyal wolf companion. As they race through the forest, Will reflects on being an abandoned child. He wonders if he was left behind due to war or a devastating famine. A memory surfaces of him as a crying newborn adrift in a river on a boat. A mysterious hooded traveler on the riverbank hears the baby's cries. The traveler discovers the infant, but another force intervenes. The baby gazes up with wide, innocent eyes as he is gently cradled. A grand eagle descends, carefully lifting the bundled infant from the vessel. The great bird ascends, soaring high over the peaks. He was taken to those destined to be his family and mentors. They include Ronan, the sword god, Miria, the healing goddess, and Vandal, the magic god. The one who discovered him was Leo, the all-powerful deity of countless manifestations. Their abode is Table Mountain, the splendid residence of the deities. A spacious, welcoming home rests against the mountainside. Will and Schultz approach the residence of their divine kin. Ronan casually greets him, asking if he's finally returned. Will beams, tears of joy in his eyes, knowing he was nurtured by gods. Ronan playfully scolds Will for his tardiness in wandering. Vandal gently chides Ronan, reminding him they were aware of the green ogre. Miria embraces Will tightly as Ronan brags about his effective training. Ronan declares it's time for the day's sword practice. Miria protests, stating Will was in serious danger just moments ago. She proposes they focus on healing instead, but Ronan insists on his turn. Vandal chimes in, asking if Will prefers to study history with him. The 3 guardians glare at one another, charged with competitive spirit. Ronan leans closer to Will, capturing his attention. Will's worn scabbard crumbles slightly, signaling his need for new equipment. Ronan slyly offers Will a new dagger as a reward for his training. Will's eyes light up with excitement, and he eagerly agrees to the sword practice. Ronan grins, patting Will's head while the others clench their teeth in annoyance. A colossal tree trunk stands resolute, ready for the training session. Ronan outlines the day's challenge, slicing the trunk with his sword's might. With a confident grin, Ronan announces he'll demonstrate first. He steps forward, shifting into a focused, prepared stance. He firmly plants his feet, getting ready to draw his blade. His hand rests on the katana's hilt, poised to unleash his strength. A powerful aura swirls around him as he unsheathes his sword, his face serious. In a flash of blinding speed, he delivers a single mighty slash. The tree trunk is cleanly severed, leaving Will in awe. Ronan tells Will it's his turn next, while the others observe from a table. Will swings with all his strength, but Ronan dismisses his feeble attempts. The boy's sword barely grazes the surface of the enormous tree stump. Ronan watches thoughtfully, pondering if it's too soon for the boy to learn this. Will's face shifts to one of intense focus and resolve. He recalls his father's technique, concentrating on the blade's tip. Will unleashes a tremendous burst of energy, completely obliterating the stump. He stands amidst the swirling dust and smoke, his energy spent. Will turns to Ronan, eagerly seeking his mentor's evaluation. Ronan, astonished yet impressed, agrees to give Will the promised dagger. Will receives the stunning new dagger, his eyes shining with delight. He dashes off immediately to show his new prize to his wolf, Schultz. Ronan crouches, observing Will run off with a pleased expression. He explains to his companions that he instructed Will to slice the stump. He holds up a splinter of wood from the destroyed stump. But the kid, he says, went ahead and smashed it to pieces instead. Will poses with his new dagger for Schultz, asking if he looks cool. A close-up reveals someone fidgeting anxiously, their fingers brushing their lips. Startled, the goddess Miria glances up, wondering if the figure approaching is a Vandal. Vandal, a wizard with a beard, grins warmly and informs Willie about a reward. He announces that it's time for magical studies, presenting the Book of the Flame Dragon. Will nonchalantly mentions he has already memorized the book, leaving his mentor stunned. He clarifies that since Vandal always uses the ancient tongue, he can cast its spells. Vandal shows his disbelief as Will gets ready to showcase his abilities. Will recites an incantation, conjuring a brilliant sphere of magical energy in his hands. With a thunderous roar, he releases it, sending them both flying backward. Proudly, he asks if Vandal witnessed it, who can only acknowledge the spell's might. A small striped creature resembling a squirrel scurries quickly across the grass. It races up Miria's body, chattering wildly as the others look on in confusion. Flustered, the goddess asks her darling what's wrong as it perches on her shoulder. After listening, she realizes Will accomplished something remarkable and shares the news. Miria explains that the creature said Will was merely healing another injured animal. Overwhelmed with emotion, she pulls Will into a tight, affectionate embrace. Ronan cautions that she might suffocate the boy while squeezing him tightly. Breathless, Will asks his father Ronan if he can go show off his new dagger. Ronan casually agrees, telling the boy to run along now. Will joyfully dashes off, waving goodbye as he vanishes into the woods. Far away, a solitary bird soars high above the smiling boy. The massive eagle Leo lands with a powerful flap of its wings. Nearby, the hooves of a majestic stag step gracefully onto the grass. The stag comments that Will appears to be growing up just as they had hoped. Ronan, now in human form, disagrees with a proud, gentle smile. Miria watches as he explains that Will is more than they ever dreamed. Vandal nods in agreement, his expression softening with deep parental affection. The three guardians reflect on how much their little one has already matured. Their thoughts wander back to the past, contemplating raising a human child. Ronan arrives, initially mistaking the swaddled infant for a snack. Miria's hand slips as she laments that all men are the same. She holds up the infant, asking if he isn't the most adorable baby. With a joyful squeeze, she affectionately calls the baby a little marshmallow. Ronan turns to Vandal, urging him to say something to her. Vandal, engrossed in a book, expresses his disdain for noisy, selfish children. Miri is instantly incensed by his remarks, questioning his harsh judgment. She points to the timid forest creatures gathered, drawn by the child's presence. With a loving gaze, she asserts he is the kindest and destined to be a powerful healer. Ronan observes, questioning her grand claim about the baby's future. The infant Will lets out a cute gurgle, waving his tiny hands. Ronan leans in, commenting on the baby's incredibly tiny hands. As he offers a finger, the infant's small hand surprisingly grips it tightly. Ronin is utterly amazed, exclaiming that the baby already knows how to hold a sword. He grips his own katana, a firm decision made. With a flourish, he declares that when Will grows up, he will wield a sword. He proclaims himself the god of the sword and Will's future mentor. Miria objects, reminding him that she just claimed Will is a future healer. They argue passionately, insisting Vandal choose which path suits Will better. The infant's eyes sparkle as he watches the adults bicker. Will stares intently at Vandal, scrunching his face in a serious imitation. Then he breaks into a charming smile, making a silly face at the wizard. Vandal chuckles, acknowledging the child's sharp wit. He proclaims the child is clever and vows to teach him magic. A booming voice from above demands an end to their squabbling. The mighty eagle Leo warns that he will take the child if they keep arguing. He inquires about their insistence on their chosen paths for the boy. Ronin asserts that strength and swordsmanship are essential for a man's future. Myriad counters that compassion and the ability to soothe others are paramount. Vandal argues that understanding all things will lead to the boy's joy. Laos reflects on their sincere, though conflicting, wishes for the child's future. He proposes a straightforward solution. They should alternate teaching the child. The three guardians are taken aback by the sheer simplicity of the suggestion. A moment of mutual understanding and agreement passes among them. They agree to provide the child with a comprehensive education in all three areas. One guardian unsheathes their sword with a sharp, decisive sound. The focus shifts to another guardian, her mind drifting to a particular day. A cloaked figure appears, their hand obscuring their face in contemplation. The three guardians chuckle with competitive excitement, each imagining their triumph. Perched on a branch, Leo watches them skeptically, questioning if it will succeed. In the present, Ronin faces Leo, a weary yet determined expression on his face. He informs the eagle god that they have chosen a path for raising the boy. Laos listens closely, his keen gaze fixed on Ronin. Ronin reminisces about the day he discovered the child by a boat, a moment of clarity. He understands that a day will arrive when the boy must embark on his own adventure. But for now, he hopes Will can grow up as freely as his heart desires. In a meadow, a large wolf calls out to the young boy, "Will!" The wolf inquires if the world beyond Table Mountain piques his interest. Will glances up, a slight smile indicating his curiosity. He recalls Father Leo's warnings, but feels it's his fate to explore. To prepare, he resolves to master the arts of swordsmanship, magic, and healing. He pauses, pondering how one individual can excel in all three. He contemplates various combinations in search of the ultimate vocation. Schultz offers a straightforward, impactful suggestion to his thoughtful friend. Will explains he can't be a hero, recalling Vandal's lesson about a unique mark. A flashback reveals a younger Will desperately searching his body for that mark. Schultz flicks his tail, questioning why such a detail should be significant. The wolf asserts that by his father's definition, hero is a fitting title for Will. Will gazes up in disbelief, whispering the question to himself. Schultz confirms that Will is already the hero of their home, Table Mountain. The boy processes this, the notion gradually taking root in his heart. The realization blooms into a strong, unwavering confidence within him. From their home, his guardians overhear his proclamation, smiles of pride on their faces. Motivated, Myriad decides to cook, sparking a humorous argument with Ronin. 7 years later, a voice calls out Will's name. A much older Will acknowledges his mother's call through a messenger bird. Inside the house, Miria wonders where her son has wandered off to this time. A wide shot reveals a vast, tranquil landscape with a solitary tree. A close-up captures a hand gripping a dagger with intense concentration. A bird approaches Will, who sits perched on a tree branch. Will moves like a blur, leaping through the forest canopy. A young man gracefully leaps through the woods, landing softly on the grassy ground. He stands firm, exuding quiet confidence, a sword resting at his side. Now 14, Will's face reflects maturity, eager for his adventure to commence. In a far-off, majestic hall, a colossal stone statue of a goddess looms over a staircase. At the foot of the stairs, a blindfolded figure, Lady Luna Maria, kneels in devotion. Suddenly she gasps, hands clasped as a divine vision floods her mind. The tranquil visage of Mother Goddess Gaia radiates light, heralding a new beginning. An attendant calls out to Lady Luna Maria, inquiring about her destination. Luna Maria stands tall, her demeanor determined and focused. She declares that she has received a prophecy from the Mother Goddess Gaia. Her sacred task is to journey to Table Mountain, where the hero dwells. Meanwhile, atop the mountain, Will leaps gracefully, skillfully slicing apples from a tree. He deftly catches the falling fruit in a cloth with a gentle flap. Landing next to his wolf companion Schultz, he boasts a plentiful harvest. Will takes a big, satisfyingly crunchy bite from one of the fresh apples. Relaxing on a rock, he joyfully exclaims how delightful the fruit is. He offers an apple to Schultz, who readily accepts one as well. The wolf chews happily on the fruit as Will inquires if it tastes good. A soft breeze sweeps through the sunlit trees surrounding them. Will and Schultz sit in tranquility, commenting on the pleasantness of the breeze. Schultz notes how swiftly humans mature, observing Will as a strong young man. Hearing his name, Will turns, his expression questioning his friend's serious tone. The wolf asks with certainty if Will plans to depart the mountain soon. With a gentle smile, Will confirms that he is indeed preparing to leave. He recalls his father Laos's words, urging him to become the world's savior. Schultz reflects that the world surely needs more men like Will. Will clenches his fist, apologizing for no longer being able to protect the forest creatures. With a playful nudge, Schultz affectionately calls him a worried youngling. The wolf reassures him that the mountain's strong beast can seek help from the gods. Schultz wistfully wishes he could accompany Will, who explains why he cannot. Will jokingly suggests Schultz should marry a female wolf named Weiss instead. Flustered, Schultz insists he wants nothing to do with the tomboy, while Will smirks. Will sits beside his friend, the atmosphere shifting to something more serious. The two share a quiet moment, their bond unmistakably strong. With a gentle expression, Will expresses gratitude to Schultz for everything thus far. He affectionately buries his hand in the wolf's thick, soft fur. Schultz reminds him this isn't a final goodbye. The mountain will always be his home. Will agrees, and they share a final tight embrace of farewell. Holding up the pouch of apples, Will mentions wanting to bring them to his family. Suddenly, Schultz's keen nose twitches, detecting a new scent in the air. The wolf urgently warns Will that a human is nearing the mountain. Will feels alarmed, remembering that Table Mountain is sacred ground for humans. He closes his eyes, honing his senses to detect the new presence. Concentric rings illustrate his enhanced hearing as he listens intently. He picks up the sounds of heavy breathing and the clanking of metal armor. He deduces that a woman is being chased by a group of armored men. Will whistles, summoning a small bird to perch on his hand. The bird takes off, ready to deliver a message for him. He instructs the bird to inform his mother and fathers about the situation. Will resolves to rescue the woman, trusting the gentle rhythm of her heartbeat. He leaps forward, feet a blur as he races toward the source of the commotion. He concludes that in tales, men who target a woman are always the antagonists. A woman, blindfolded, dashes through the woods as her pursuers yell for her to halt. A dagger strikes a tree, forcing her to stop her flight. One of the armored figures unsheathes his sword with a sharp clang. Another assailant hurls a curved blade, aiming to take her down. The leader announces that their game of tag has ended. They intend to end her life. She stands her ground, declaring her life belongs to the goddess, not to savages. A hooded attacker derisively questions who inspired her defiance. He scoffs, saying there's no need to respond, raising his sword to strike. He tells her to inquire with her goddess in the afterlife as he swings down. Fury fills the attacker's eyes as he brings his sword crashing down. With a fluid spin, Luna Maria dodges the clumsy, forceful strike. She sidesteps the attack, her face focused and movements graceful. Her assailant stumbles, falling, which infuriates the leader, who yells at her. Roger, the leader, commands his men to encircle her and strike simultaneously. One soldier raises his sword, screaming for her demise. The woman steels herself for the impending onslaught. Suddenly, a barrage of projectiles crashes into the soldiers with a thunderous boom. Will and Schultz emerge from the smoke, standing protectively beside her. Will glances at her, his expression softening as he checks if she's okay. She turns toward him, her stance revealing her surprise at the rescue. The fallen soldiers stare in shock from the ground where they lie. One mercenary clicks his tongue in irritation at the interruption. The men murmur in disbelief, trying to comprehend the sight of a giant wolf and a child. Will wonders aloud what these folks are doing so far from any settlement. The soldiers scheme to take down the peculiar duo, along with the priestess. Will sighs, resigned, thinking they resemble villains from the stories. The priest disagrees, asserting that mercy is unwarranted for such wickedness. Will turns to her, asking if she would mind him stepping in. She smiles gently, calling him a great hero and urging him to proceed. Will is taken aback by the title, questioning her words and her blindfold. He steps forward, informing the men they are trespassing on sacred ground. He exhales wearily, anticipating what's about to unfold. The leader bellows the command to eliminate them all as his men charge. Will lets out a resigned breath, bracing for the unavoidable clash. He calls to Schultz, who growls in response, ready for the fight. Will darts through the armored soldiers, his movements a blur. He considers breaking their armor with force, but ultimately decides against it. He counters a massive punch with a powerful palm strike to the chest. The impact sends a shockwave rippling through the soldier's armor. The soldiers curse the little brat for moving so nimbly. Will definitely slashes at one of the soldiers as he zips by. The men look around in confusion, exclaiming that he has disappeared. They frantically search for him, puzzled about where he could have gone. Will reappears above them, delivering a powerful kick to a soldier's head. He lands gracefully as the soldier crashes to the ground, defeated. Schultz finishes off another foe with a decisive stomp. The Great Wolf reports that all is wrapped up on his end as well. Will turns to the priestess, a gentle, concerned smile gracing his face. A young man turns to a hooded woman, asking if she is injured. The blindfolded priestess comforts him, lauding his remarkable deeds and labeling him a hero. Completely taken aback, Will realizes this is the first human female he has ever encountered. He stutters, questioning her use of hero as she seeks his forgiveness. With a graceful curtsy, she expresses regret for intruding and leading thugs to the sacred mountain. She introduces herself as Luna Maria, the blind priestess devoted to the mother goddess Gaia. Will's mind races, recalling his mentor Vandal's teachings about Gaia and her virtuous priestesses. Her compliments about his knowledge cause him to blush, as she calls him great hero once more. She discloses her true intention to meet the hero raised by God, leaving Will in shock. He expresses his skepticism, noting he lacks a hero's mark while his wolf companion yawns. Luna Maria ponders his remarks regarding the absence of a special mark. He affirms that he is, however, the sole human on the mountain raised by God. Her smile radiates confidence as she asserts there is no doubt he is the chosen one. She recounts Gaia's prophecy of a savior destined to restore harmony to the world. Luna Maria glances at the defeated mercenaries sprawled on the forest floor. The groaning armored men lie scattered, their weapons abandoned. She clarifies that these men are heretics opposing her meeting with the great hero. Suddenly his wolf Schultz sniffs the air, detecting a hidden presence nearby. Schultz growls a low warning to Will, urging him to stay alert for others. Luna Maria expresses surprise that Will can communicate with animals as he introduces his companion. He urgently cautions her to be careful, sensing more villains stirring in the woods. The rustling from the bushes confirms their fears. More enemies are closing in. A new mercenary leader emerges, scolding his subordinate for failing to eliminate the priestess. The defeated soldier explains that Will and his wolf disrupted their plans. Upon hearing this, the new leader scoffs in disdain. He vows to focus on eliminating them, his sword crackling with magical energy. Luna Maria urgently warns Will that their new adversary wields an enchanted weapon. Alarmed, Will echoes her warning about the enchanted sword. He's briefly taken aback by this escalated level of danger. Leaping protectively in front of Luna Maria, he refuses to be shielded from such filth. He confidently asserts that even enchanted weapons pose no threat to him. Luna Maria cryptically warns that soon the area will be drenched in crimson. She clarifies that the impending destruction will not be her doing. The ground begins to shake violently, startling the bewildered mercenaries. With a thunderous crash, a gigantic creature bursts forth from the earth. The mercenaries stare in confusion, questioning the source of the upheaval. Their leader stammers in disbelief, asking what the creature is doing here. Will and Luna Maria gaze in astonishment at the revealed red dragon. The enormous beast emits a bone-chilling roar, sending the mercenaries into a frenzy. Luna Maria comments on the dragon's incredible and overwhelming size. Will asks how she can perceive its scale despite her blindness. She explains she can sense its powerful heartbeat and hear its furious roar. The dragon's fiery gaze locks on to the terrified group of soldiers. From a distance, an unseen divine guardian observes the unfolding chaos. The guardian concludes that the mercenaries have inadvertently disturbed a dragon's nest. The mercenary leader panics, realizing he must still fulfill his mission. With an exasperated click of his tongue, he resolves to confront the monster. He commands his archers to unleash their arrows, attempting to drive the beast away. A barrage of arrows flies through the air toward the massive dragon. The projectiles harmlessly bounce off the dragon's incredibly tough hide. In a desperate final attempt, the leader charges at the creature with his enchanted sword. His enchanted sword slashes the dragon, erupting in a dazzling burst of light. The fierce blow leaves the leader stunned, not even a mark on the beast. He curses the wretched creature, his expression twisted with anger and dread. Realizing defeat is inevitable, he yells for his men to flee for their lives. The dragon's throat starts to shimmer as it readies a catastrophic fire attack. Will suddenly appears, urging Luna Maria to stay put. A massive blaze erupts from the dragon's gaping mouth. The two retreating soldiers scramble frantically to escape the approaching flames. Flames engulf the area where they had just stood. The mercenary leader is hurled backward by the blast's sheer force. He gazes in disbelief at the dragon's overwhelming might. His expression is one of horror and utter shock. Will looms over the fallen soldiers, scolding them for their recklessness. In the background, Luna Maria floats calmly, watching the chaos unfold. She remarks that their parents would grieve their pointless demise. With astonishing speed, Will darts past the astonished men. He plants himself firmly, facing the now two-headed dragon. He stands resolute, a solitary figure against the colossal beast. The defeated soldiers regroup, one asking the leader if he's all right. The leader scoffs, questioning what a mere child could do against a dragon. Luna Maria leaps to Will's side, calling him a great hero as he reassures her. He confidently tells her not to fret. He has a few tricks ready. The dragon's single eye fixates on its new, smaller adversary. 3 shadowy wraiths materialize, surrounding the roaring dragon. The mercenaries quiver in fear at the horrifying sight. Their leader looks ghostly pale. His earlier bravado vanished. Luna Maria gasps, sensing the overwhelming malevolence radiating from the wraiths. Amidst the turmoil, Will draws his ornate silver dagger with calm precision. He recalls the powerful lessons from his 2 fathers, Ronin and Vandal. The dragon huffs, sensing a change in the young man's energy. Will understands he can merge their powers through his magical silver dagger. He begins to chant an incantation, summoning frost to alter the wind. A potent chill swirls around his dagger as he raises it high. Leaping forward, he unleashes the spell, commanding it to freeze all in its path. In response, the dragon opens its mouth and unleashes a torrent of flames. The roaring fire meets a wave of absolute zero. The flames begin to crystallize into frozen orange-red sculptures. The chilling wave of cold energy crashes over the massive creature. For a brief moment, the dragon stares in utter disbelief. The mercenary leader exclaims in shock as the dragon's flames freeze solid. The entire 2-headed dragon is swiftly encased in a massive statue of jagged ice. The ice creaks and groans as it solidifies around the beast. The dragon's form shatters in a burst of icy shards. The mercenaries stare, unable to comprehend how the dragon was frozen so quickly. Will stands amidst falling snowflakes as the leader questions what kind of child he is. Labeling him a monster, the leader commands a full and immediate retreat. In the now quiet clearing, Luna Maria steps forward gracefully. She approaches Will, once again calling him a great hero. In a gesture of deep respect, she reaches up to remove her blindfold. The beautiful priestess elegantly removes her blindfold amidst a cascade of sparkling light. As she opens her bright violet eyes, Luna Maria reintroduces herself as the blind priestess. Turning to the young man, she inquires about his name, referring to him as the great hero. Luna Maria offers a soft, inquisitive smile while she waits for his response. Will gazes at her, his expression calm and contemplative. He simply replies that his name is Will. He starts to share his background, mentioning that he is human. Luna Maria gently probes about the hero title, though her conviction appears strong. She states her belief stems from a prophecy, while Will doubts due to his lack of a hero's mark. Shifting topics, Luna Maria resumes her explanation. She notes that being blind means she can't verify if he possesses the mark. Her comment leaves Will blushing, utterly flustered and bewildered. She recognizes his confusion, admitting that her sympathy might come off as rude given her clear sight. Agreeing with him, she shares that she willingly gave up her sight for her god. With a serene smile, she expresses no regrets about becoming a priestess. Will listens closely, taking in the depth of her commitment. She showcases her enhanced senses, asking if he just crossed his arms, which he confirms, surprised. She explains that her blindness has heightened her other senses, enabling her to feel airflow. Will is left amazed by her extraordinary perceptual skills. Luna Maria blushes, admitting she noticed how brilliantly he fought earlier. Perched on a log, she speaks to him with newfound seriousness. She addresses him as Lord Will, capturing his full attention. She reassures him that she has trained since childhood and won't be a liability. With earnest eyes, she invites him to embark on a journey to save the world. Will is taken aback by her proposal as he contemplates the idea of traveling. He admits he has plans to travel, which she joyfully interprets as destiny. His wolf companion teasingly questions if his overprotective gods will grant permission easily. Will ponders this, believing his father, Leo, would agree since the journey was his suggestion. He looks up, distressed, worrying about his other mother and fathers. His mind conjures an image of the three overprotective gods adamantly refusing to let him leave. Luna Maria stands, suggesting they depend on the one god who will bless their journey. She requests Lord Will to introduce her to his family of gods. With sparkling eyes, she fervently vows to gain their permission for them to travel together. Will agrees to lead the way, and they set off without delay. As they walk, Luna Maria starts to tie her blindfold back on. She glances up, slightly surprised, asking if something is amiss. Will watches, puzzled by her action. He points out that she is putting her blindfold back on. He tells Luna Maria her eyes are stunning, and it seems a shame to cover them. She agrees with his sentiment, gently closing her eyes with a shy smile. Will's heart races, overwhelmed by the smile of a girl his age. Both his wolf and Luna Maria notice his flushed face, and he stutters that it's nothing. Regaining his composure, Will gently takes her hand. With a determined smile, he invites her to join him. Their hands intertwine as they prepare to embark together. They walk hand in hand toward the dwelling of the gods. A small bird informs the gods that Will is bringing a human girl home. The goddess Miria clenches her fist, furious at the girl's audacity. Run watches with a dry expression as the bird flutters away in fright. Miria declares with a sinister laugh that she will test the girl's worth. They arrive at a grand temple which Will identifies as the god's dwelling. He clarifies that it was constructed to uphold their dignity as deities. Within, they find themselves at a long, vacant table in an expansive hall. The serious swordsman Ronan makes a grand entrance. The wise wizard Vandal appears alongside him, matching his seriousness. The furious goddess Miria storms in, her presence dominating the room. Will and Luna Maria are clearly taken aback by their imposing arrival. Luna Maria detects their potent divine aura, recognizing them as Will's guardians. Will murmurs an apology for his parents' loud behavior. Ronan points out that she serves as a priestess of the mother goddess Gaia. Will attempts to clarify that she is dedicated to her goddess. He persists in defending her noble intentions to Father Ronan. Ronan pounds the table, demanding to know why she is using her charms on Will. Luna Maria calmly states that her mission is to ensure Lord Will's well-being. Her vow of loyalty leaves Miria in disbelief. Miria angrily refuses to surrender Will to a presumptuous little strumpet. She pouts, filled with frustration and rage. Luna Maria watches, annoyed by the goddess's outburst. Ronan whispers to Vandal, noting that tension is already brewing between mother and daughter-in-law. Vandal jests that Will probably wants to kiss her, shocking everyone present. Flustered, Will contemplates the idea of kissing Luna Maria. He turns to a taken-aback Luna Maria with the question. She blushes, shyly agreeing if that's what Lord Will desires. The mere thought of kissing Luna Maria sends Will into a flurry. They lean in, their faces mere inches apart, poised to kiss. Ronan and Vandal tease Miria, suggesting Will favors a young maiden over an old hag. Fuming, Miria turns on them, demanding to know whose side they are on. A calm, commanding voice orders everyone to cease. Ronan and Vandal fall silent at the interruption. A large blackbird with glowing eyes perches high above them. The bird unfurls its magnificent wings, showcasing its divine might. Luna Maria is left breathless by the overwhelming divine presence. Will explains that this is his father, Leo, the all-powerful god who may assist them. Leo addresses Luna Maria directly, referring to her as the priestess of Gaia. He inquires if she genuinely plans to embark on a journey with Will. Though surprised, Luna Maria firmly affirms her intention. She declares her purpose is to support Lord Will as he discovers the world. Will steps forward, ready to present his case to Father Leo. He earnestly shares that Luna Maria is the first human friend he has ever made. Luna Maria is visibly touched by his sincere declaration. Leo listens intently, his sharp, glowing gaze fixed on his son. Miria interrupts, stating she has discussed this journey but has not approved it. She slams her fist down, emphatically demanding they wait. Ronan backs her up, stating that neither he nor the god of magic has given their consent. He admits he despises the saying about sending a beloved child into the world. Vandal explains they protect Will from evil and temptation out of parental love. Luna Maria steps forward, declaring that she will be the one to safeguard him. Ronan regards her with a challenging smirk, questioning her resolve. He advances with a decisive motion, ready to issue his challenge. The three gods declare that if the two can succeed in their trials, they may journey together. A stunning woman named Miria and a wizard named Vandal stand together, with Vandal intrigued by the notion of a trial. Miria's expression twists with possessive fury as she swears to keep Luna Maria away from her cherished Will. Will faces Luna Maria, determination etched on his face, and she silently nods, ready to tackle the challenge alongside him. Together, they proclaim their united resolve to prove their capabilities by overcoming every trial. Ronan, the swordsman, grins and tells the old wizard Vandal to start by giving the youngsters a hard time. Vandal casts a sly, knowing look from beneath the wide brim of his hat. The wizard playfully urges the spirited Ronan to show a bit more deference to his elders. A row of intricately designed empty goblets awaits on a long table. With a snap of his fingers, Vandal conjures two glowing ornate cups into the air. A solid arc of water magically forms, linking the two goblets in a stunning display of defiance against gravity. Will and Luna Maria gaze in bewilderment at the strange and impossible magical creation before them. Vandal gestures toward a window, pointing out a cedar tree atop a distant mountain as their goal. The wizard clarifies that their mission is to transport the water in the cups to that very tree. He outlines the rules. Not a single drop can be spilled, and they have precisely 2 hours. Will's face turns serious as he absorbs the strict 2-hour limit for this daunting task. Myri thinks the trial seems too simple, convinced her Will could finish it in just an hour. Luna Maria mentions that she trains similarly and believes they can conquer this challenge. Will nods with a confident grin, his eyes shining with determination to get started. Vandal looks at the young man, inquiring if he's prepared to begin the trial. The three gods declare they will wait for the duo at the finish line, and the trial commences. Sunlight streams through the forest canopy, signaling the start of their adventure. In a small clearing, Will stretches deeply to ready his body while Luna Maria stands by patiently. He turns to her, asking if she's prepared. She affirms her readiness to Lord Will. With an enthusiastic shout, Will dashes forward at breakneck speed, leaving a stunned Luna Maria behind. Luna Maria's expression is one of shock and panic, her eyes wide at his reckless speed. She calls out his name in alarm as he races ahead, leaving her far behind. Will skids to a halt, turning back to ask his companion what's wrong. Luna Maria voices her concern that if he runs that fast, the water in their cups will definitely spill. To her astonishment, she sees that the water in his cup remains perfectly still, not a single ripple. As she catches up, she apologizes for not being able to match his incredible speed. Will's foot trips over a root, emphasizing the treacherous nature of the path. Luna Maria's eyes widen with concern as they carefully navigate the uneven forest floor. Will's face shows intense concentration, revealing the challenge of the task. He takes Luna Maria's hand for support, their goblets held carefully as they move together. The water in the cups trembles precariously, threatening to spill with every step they take. Will suggests slowing down, and Luna Maria agrees, provided he doesn't mind the delay. Now in sync, they walk steadily along the forest path, their goblets held firm. From afar, the two are seen continuing their slow and cautious trek through the woods. Luna Maria appears concerned, beads of sweat forming from the trial's intense effort. A group of friendly forest creatures emerges from the trees, seemingly wishing them good luck. Two gentle deer rustle in the bushes, watching the pair as they pass by. Luna Maria glances down, a bead of sweat on her brow showcasing her intense focus. She admires Will's flawless posture, noting that he shows not the slightest tremor. A bead of sweat on her cheek serves as a testament to the strain she's under. With dawning horror, she realizes that 40 minutes have slipped by, and their pace is far too slow. Will turns to Luna Maria, asking if she thinks she can pick up the pace to make it on time. Startled by his question, her focus wavers momentarily under the pressure. Apologizing, she admits she's not sure she can avoid spilling the water if she speeds up. Will thoughtfully proposes taking a rough shortcut through the woods to recover lost time. He asks if she believes she can navigate the more challenging terrain. Luna Maria asserts with fierce determination that she will follow him, as it's better than failing. The newly uncovered route turns out to be a perilous, rocky streambed, not exactly a stroll in the park. They tread carefully over a fallen log, testing their balance as they cross a small gap. Will extends his hand to Luna Maria, assisting her down a steep, rocky step along the trail. Perched on a large boulder, he glances back to check if his companion is okay. Luna Maria bends over, clearly fatigued from the challenging trek they've endured. She gasps, startled by Will calling her name, her focus clearly slipping. Noticing her waning concentration, he suggests they pause for a brief rest. Will gazes out from the woods, his eyes locked on the distant cedar tree marking their destination. On the forest floor, their two ornate goblets rest securely on a flat stone. Turning to Luna Maria, he reassures her not to fret about their predicament. Will leaps over their resting cups with ease, landing next to the seated Luna Maria. He ponders his next move, suspecting their mentor Vandal orchestrated this very situation. Luna Maria admires his endurance, and he proudly shares that he's been running with animals since he was a child. He shyly recalls her earlier remark about considering him a friend too. Stammering, he apologizes and asks if mentioning it bothers her at all. Will's cheeks flush crimson, his heart racing from the awkward moment. Luna Maria gazes at him, her expression blank and slightly puzzled, unsure how to respond. Her confusion shifts into a light, amused giggle at his adorably flustered demeanor. With a sincere smile, she tells him she'd be honored to be his friend. Her heartfelt declaration makes Will blush even deeper, leaving him utterly flustered. Luna Maria innocently inquires about human cities and whether other men are as strong as he is. She adds that she doubts many could defeat a dragon as effortlessly as he did. The mere mention of a dragon sparks a sudden vivid memory for Will. With a shout of realization, he grips her shoulders, declaring that the dragon holds the key to their dilemma. In the distance, the solitary cedar tree on the hill stands against the sky, marking the end of their trial. Maria sips her tea calmly, humming to herself as she awaits the trial's conclusion. An elegant teapot rests beside an ornate hourglass, its sand nearly depleted. Vandal approaches Miria, while Riley comments on how surprisingly calm she appears. The wizard observes with a knowing, slightly amused expression, his thoughts concealed. Myriad retorts that he has no right to criticize after putting them through such a daunting challenge. A large, muscular hand swings down in agreement. It's the swordsman Ronan. Ronan remarks that while Will could handle it easily, the little priestess makes success seem impossible. The hourglass reappears, its last grains of sand falling, signaling only 5 minutes remain. Miria squeals with excitement, vowing to hug Will tightly when he arrives. Ronan teases her, saying she reeks of sweat and to keep her distance from him. She grabs Ronan's arm, accusing him of hiding something from them. Vandal casually states he has zero faith in the duo's chances of success. He then gestures dramatically toward the forest's edge, urging them to look. Will and Luna Maria burst forth from the trees, racing toward the finish line with renewed vigor. Ronan's face contorts in shock and disbelief at their sudden improbable arrival. They skid to a stop before the onlookers, with Will triumphantly declaring their victory to Vandal. Ronan wonders aloud how the little priestess could possibly keep pace with Will. Luna Maria watches nervously, her mouth agape as Ronan approaches them with suspicion. He demands to inspect their cups, questioning if there's any water remaining. Ronan is convinced that after running so fast, there can't be anything left inside. Will and Luna Maria exchange a confident glance, sharing a knowing grin. The goblets are revealed, showing the water inside each one frozen solid into ice. Ronan is left speechless, while Vandal bursts into hearty laughter, confirming this tactic is perfectly valid. Vandal clarifies that he only instructed them not to spill the water, never forbidding them from freezing it. A young man smiles as a brilliant idea sparks in his mind. He remembers freezing a dragon, realizing he can replicate that strategy. Miria, his horned ally, points out that time is running short. Vandal, the wizard, reminds them that the water needs to be pure. With a confident motion, Will agrees to the final stipulation. A potent aura envelops him as he transforms the frozen goblets. The ice swiftly reverts to liquid, gently rippling in the cups. Vandal reaches for one of the now filled goblets from the table. He lifts the cup to his lips, savoring a long, satisfying sip. With a contented sigh, he proclaims the water is exquisite. He carefully places the empty goblet back on the stone table. Vandal announces their victory, and they celebrate with a high five. A stern voice interrupts, cautioning them against premature celebration. The swordsman's threatening glare signals that the second trial is imminent. He proclaims himself the god of swords, taking control of the next challenge. Ronin, the swordsman, rudely commands the old wizard to initiate the trial. The wizard exhales in annoyance, irritated by Ronin's demanding tone. He questions Ronin's attitude while forcefully striking his staff on the ground. An elaborate magic circle appears on the ground before them. A gigantic stone golem emerges from the earth, taking shape. Ronin grins, announcing they must battle vandals for the golem. Will and Luna Maria stare in disbelief at the towering foe. Luna Maria thinks Ronin is foolish for opting for such a straightforward challenge. Myriad agrees from a distance, confirming Ronin is just a muscle-bound simpleton. Will feels relieved, confident they can handle this uncomplicated trial. He remembers defeating countless golems like this during his training. Ronin states the first condition: the golem must be fought with a sword. Will is momentarily taken aback, but believes this restriction won't hinder him. A cruel grin spreads across Ronin's face as he moves to the next stipulation. He declares that Luna Maria must face the golem by herself. Will immediately protests, shocked that he can't join the fight. Ronin explains he knows Will's strength from personally training him. Miria worries about the young lady, not wanting her to feel like a burden. Will expresses his doubts, thinking Luna Maria has never wielded a sword. Ronin mocks the priestess, questioning if she even knows how to handle a sword. Luna Maria reveals that weapon training is a sacred part of her journey. Ronin smirks, pleased by this unexpected twist. Will is astonished as she reveals a stunning sword from behind her back. Ronin condescendingly tells the young lady not to get too excited. Fandal mentions the golem is only level 2, claiming Will defeated it at age 5. Miria taunts her, saying she can run, but that would mean failure. Luna Maria insists she must protect Lord Will as his devoted servant. She asserts that a weak servant is unacceptable for her lord. Will calls her name, his expression filled with concern for her safety. He wants to offer her advice, but finds himself at a loss for words. She turns to him, offering a gentle, reassuring smile. She gazes at Will, her voice filled with determination as she speaks. Ronin asks if they are prepared, as Luna Maria vows she will prevail. With a sharp command from Ronin, the golem lunges forward to attack. Its enormous fist crashes into the ground, but Luna Maria elegantly dodges. She continues to evade, her long hair flowing with her graceful movements. The golem shifts, its rocky body pivoting to follow her. Ronin figures out she's leveraging her acute hearing to predict its actions. She steadies herself, ready to transition from defense to attack. He understands she can't just evade this challenge indefinitely. Planting her foot, she lunges to strike at the golem. She charges in, her blade glinting as it hits the golem's chest. A small fragment of the golem breaks off from her strike. Will, observing from the sidelines, exclaims, "Nice!" Her sword clangs loudly against the golem's incredibly tough stone exterior. Frustration hits her as she realizes her blade is ineffective. Ronin calmly remarks that her strike wasn't sufficient. She spins and attacks again, her blade rebounding off the solid surface. The golem strikes back with a fierce blow, sending debris flying. Will shouts her name in alarm as the fight escalates. She tightens her grip, opting for a different approach. She unleashes a rapid series of strikes, searching for a weakness. The golem advances, its enormous form casting a shadow. Ronin smirks, observing that her attacks are ineffective. Panting, she ponders how to combat the relentless creature. Will asks Vandal if the golem is genuinely only level 2. Vandal cheekily admits he infused it with extra magic. He reveals it's a level 10 golem crafted to Will's specifications. The golem continues its unyielding assault, its strikes echoing. It spins and delivers a powerful punch, its stone fist a blur. Luna Maria realizes that even targeting its joints is futile. Ronin notes her sword is enchanted with holy magic. He explains it's effective against the undead, but won't harm magical beings. Will decides he must assist her differently if her attacks fail. He readies himself to support Luna Maria with his potent magic. Ronin moves swiftly, blocking Will's path with his drawn sword. He firmly tells Will that magic use is prohibited in this trial. He suggests Will can only support her through words, offering encouragement. Luna Maria continues to struggle, the battle's toll evident. Will clenches his fist in frustration, feeling utterly powerless. He shouts words of encouragement to Luna Maria, urging her not to give up. He despairs, questioning his role, feeling completely useless. He yanks a handful of grass from the ground in frustration. Kneeling, he feels a wave of hopelessness at his inability to intervene. He desperately wishes the golem had a weakness he could exploit. Vandal watches, muttering to himself, wondering if the trial is too challenging. The scene transitions to a quiet tower, evoking a memory. A younger Will gazes up, wide-eyed with curiosity about golems. Vandal explains that golems are magical beings crafted from various materials. He tells young Will to aim for the golem's weak point. Vandal reveals that the rune Emeth, meaning truth, animates them. Erasing the first rune alters it to Meth, meaning death, destroying it. Young Will Bosey can simply smash them, no weak point needed. The memory fades, and Will realizes the magic runes must be on its surface. Ronan confirms Will's insight, unknowingly setting the stage for the trial's turning point. A young man named Will seeks clarification from a swordsman named Ronan regarding the trial's rules. An idea ignites in Will's mind as he crouches, crafting a fresh strategy. Suddenly enlightened, he announces that he will be the target of his own support magic. He casts a spell named Nalysis, examining the magical currents within the stone golem. His spell uncovers the golem's vulnerability on its upper right shoulder, and he shouts the info to Luna Maria. Though taken aback, Luna Maria concentrates, absorbing the vital details. Will assures her he will guide her, instructing her to strike precisely on his signal. The massive stone golem rumbles as if it senses its opponents have discovered its secret. With a shout of realization, Luna Maria agrees to follow his lead. She leaps into action, her face radiating complete trust in Lord Will's direction. Using the golem's swinging arm as leverage, she dashes toward its shoulder with remarkable speed. In a fluid motion, she vaults over the golem's head, perfectly positioning for the decisive strike. Upside down in midair, she brings her holy sword down in a fierce, concentrated blow. The golem's stone form fractures and splinters as its life-giving magic dissipates. With a final shudder, the magical construct bursts apart into a pile of rubble and dust. Will yells in victory as Luna Maria lands gracefully among the debris, their enemy defeated. Turning to Ronan, Will's face beams with the thrill of their triumph. Ronan praises Will's exceptional guidance and commends Luna Maria's impressive sword skills. The swordsman's demeanor shifts to serious as he reveals the trial's deeper, hidden purpose. He explains that he aimed to assess their compatibility and Will's ability to depend on a partner. Overjoyed and relieved, Luna Maria rushes to Will to celebrate their achievement. She leaps into him with an exuberant hug, joyfully exclaiming that they succeeded. Caught off guard, Will's face gets squished and flustered by the unexpected embrace. A tiny crowned creature screeches in comical fury, calling Luna Maria a little strumpet. A blushing Will admits the hug is embarrassing, while a mortified Luna Maria apologizes. Ronan steps in, his solid presence breaking up their lighthearted celebration. Will and Luna Maria turn to him, their faces hopeful as they await his judgment. A broad smile of relief spreads across Will's face upon hearing Ronan's verdict. Ronan declares that they have splendidly passed the second trial, his tone genuinely approving. His expression then shifts, revealing that only one trial remains for them to confront. Luna Maria's joyful expression fades, replaced by a look of grim determination. A regal woman named Miria contemplates the kind of challenge she should create for them. She reflects on their trial as dark-winged creatures soar over a rugged mountain landscape. Later, a full moon shines brightly in the sky above a tranquil forested mountain range. The scene transitions to a serene clearing where Will and his companions are camping by a fire. He carefully stirs a pot of stew simmering over the crackling flames. The thick, creamy stew appears hearty and ready to be served. Will hands a bowl to Luna Maria, warning her to be cautious as it's hot. She takes a cautious bite, her face reflecting quiet appreciation. Her eyes light up in delight as she exclaims how delicious the dish is. Will smiles, explaining that he just recently earned his parents' approval for his cooking. After her compliment, Luna Maria suddenly becomes intensely flustered, leaving Will confused. With competitive spirit, she declares she won't be outdone in the kitchen. Surprised to discover she can cook, Will suggests they take turns preparing meals. He spreads out a large cloak for her, asking if she's comfortable resting for the night. He mentions that it has been a challenging day, and they should get some proper rest. His expression grows serious as he contemplates the location of their next trial. He reveals they are heading into the dragon's nest, where the dragons are active at night. Miria appears before them, a sinister smile gracing her face as she considers their final trial. She points directly at the astonished duo, demanding they kiss each other immediately. Her two male companions are utterly bewildered by the absurd and outrageous trial. Miria anxiously shares her fears about Will being left alone with the little trumpet. She'd prefer to witness their kiss than suffer the torment of imagining it. Will and Luna Maria exchange glances, their cheeks flushed with embarrassment and tension. Horror strikes him. Kissing her would make this trial a breeze. He turns to his mother, attempting to reason with her about the ridiculous demand. Ronan seizes Will, urging Myriad not to impose a trial he could never accept. Ronan and Vandal stand resolute, insisting she propose a more sensible challenge. Defeated, Myriad shifts the topic, sighing as she gripes about her makeup. Ronan's eyes widen in shock, sensing the manipulative path she's taking. Vandal scowls from beneath his hat, also catching on to her sly strategy. One man foolishly suggests her skin issues might stem from her age. Two fresh graves starkly contrast against the sky, a silent reminder of their words. Myriad discloses that her supply of medicinal herbs for her skin has run out. Relieved by the new task, Will and Luna Maria eagerly accept the challenge. Myria marvels internally at how adorable Will is for being so sincere. She cautions them not to celebrate prematurely, a sly grin on her face. Will inquires about her meaning, a bead of sweat forming as he senses a catch. She reveals that the herb they need is found in the dreaded dragon's nest. Will reassures a concerned Luna Maria that it's an extremely perilous location. The rare herb is the holy orchid, and they must retrieve it by noon tomorrow. Will embraces the daunting challenge with a confident, "Bring it on, Mother Myria." Myria smirks, amused, wishing them luck on their treacherous journey. The two adventurers set off, leaving behind the empty graves of their friends. Later that night, they are seen resting under blankets in the dark woods. The next morning, sunlight spills over the distant mountain peaks. Early rays illuminate the roof of a house nestled in the landscape. A cheerful Will greets Luna Maria as she tends to the morning fire. He stretches with joy, feeling rejuvenated and ready for the day's adventure. He prepares his gear, securing his equipment for the upcoming peril. He shares a meal, enjoying a light-hearted moment with a smiling Luna Maria. She hands him a bowl of food, her expression cheerful and friendly. They arrive at the ominous dark entrance of the cave, ready to start their trial. Inside, Will conjures a glowing orb to light up the twisting rocky cavern. Luna Maria notes that, judging by the sounds, the cave doesn't seem very spacious. Will clarifies that this is just the entrance to the main cavern where dragons reside. He cautions her to tread carefully. The dragons here are known for their aggression. He describes the local dragons as fierce and troublesome creatures that hunt in the woods. They step further into the dark, foreboding passage. They break into a larger chamber, having traveled a considerable distance into the cave. Perched on a high ledge, they survey the vast, empty cavern beneath them. Will glances around nervously, noticing the absence of any dragons. Luna Maria states their goal is the holy orchid as they descend into the cavern. She comments that the lack of dragons might be a fortunate turn for them. They begin their search for the elusive flower among the rocky cavern floor. After a while, Will stands atop a rock, scanning for any sign of their prize. He concludes that if the flower isn't here, they must delve deeper. Luna Maria looks anxious, realizing the heightened danger of venturing further into the nest. A sudden sharp noise makes her gasp, her eyes widening in fear. Will reacts immediately, pushing her to safety just as the rock wall behind them erupts. As Will shoves her to safety, a shadowy figure bursts forth from the rock. A stunning yet fearsome blue dragon makes its entrance with a deafening screech. The creature lunges with astonishing speed, its claws poised to attack. Its enormous form blurs through the cavern, slicing through the air. The dragon's claws smash into the ground, sending rocks and debris flying. Luna Maria is thrown to the cavern floor, dazed from the impact. Will lands gracefully, his face a mix of shock and urgent concern. He shouts to Luna Maria, assuring her that he's completely unscathed. The colossal dragon twists its long body, coiling with predatory intent. Its cold reptilian gaze fixes on its new, vulnerable target below. Luna Maria looks up in dread as the beast begins to stalk toward her. With a low growl, the dragon hovers over her, poised to strike. She gasps in horror, clutching the book tightly against her chest. A swirling dark energy gathers above Will's hand as he readies his magic. The dragon rears back, its powerful wings beating as it prepares to unleash its breath. With deadly precision, Will braces himself to shield his friend from the oncoming attack. Its throat begins to glow, signaling the imminent release of a devastating energy blast. Will realizes he needs to create a protective barrier around Luna Maria to keep her safe. Luna Maria cries out, urging Lord Will not to let the dragon strike. She catches a whiff of a nearby flower, recognizing it as the holy orchid. In a frantic move, Will scrambles up the perilous rocky mountainside. He lets out a primal scream as the dragon's breath attack detonates behind him. Luna Maria screams his name in terror as the explosion engulfs the cliff. A thick cloud of smoke and dust erupts from the massive blast. The defeated blue dragon's head crumbles, its reptilian eye now dull. A flashback reveals the dragon's eye filled with fear and resignation. Will's sword is aimed directly at the beast's eye, a silent warning. He holds the blade firm, his stance strong and resolute. He proclaims this land sacred and offers the dragon a chance to live. The dragon's eye reflects understanding of the terms of its surrender. With a look of relief, the creature accepts the offer to depart. Will watches with a faint, satisfied grin as his plan unfolds. He steps onto the fallen dragon's head, signaling the battle's end. The massive blue dragon takes to the skies, retreating as promised. Luna Maria rushes to Will, relieved to see him safe and triumphant. With a comforting smile, Will reassures her that there's nothing to fear. She exhales deeply, her tension finally dissipating. She inquires if he found the holy orchid, and he confirms he can smell it nearby. Nestled among the rocks, a single stunning cluster of flowers glows gently. Both Will and Luna Maria gaze in wonder, confirming its identity as the holy orchid. Will kneels, noting that it's just one bunch, but all the flowers are in bloom. An excited horned companion points out that this means their final trial is almost over. They carefully place the precious flowers into a pouch for safe transport. Together, they hold the secured orchid, sharing a moment of triumph. Will suggests they hurry and exit the cave before more dragons show up. The adventurers step out of the dark cavern into the bright expanse of the mountain range. They begin their journey back, leaving the perilous nest far behind. Will and his companion walk side by side, their mission nearly complete. Gazing at the sun, Will notes they will finish the trial with time to spare. He expresses heartfelt thanks to Luna Maria for her help in locating the holy orchid. She commends his strength in driving off the dragon, calling him a true dragon slayer. Their next move involves presenting the plant to the goddess for her blessing. A sudden rustle from the bushes disrupts the tranquility. A stunning buck with impressive antlers emerges into the clearing. Will's eyes widen as he excitedly calls out to the buck, recognizing it as Max. He tells his unexpected companion that the buck is an old friend. Max the buck offers a silent, significant look towards Will. Luna Maria observes, still clutching the precious orchids. She remembers Will's talent for conversing with animals and scolds Max for being present. The buck communicates without words, its expression urgent and serious. Will's cheerful demeanor fades, replaced by dawning realization. His face twists in anger, understanding that Mother Miria has orchestrated this. Luna Maria is utterly shocked by his sudden intense fury. He states with chilling clarity that their ordeal is far from finished. Luna Maria gasps, horrified as she grasps the truth. They've been deceived. Will reiterates his accusation, his tone dripping with resentment. He looks at Luna Maria and the buck, affirming Mother Miria's trickery. The buck remains still, having conveyed its grim message. Will is left reeling as he processes this dreadful news. Luna Maria questions him, her voice laced with confusion. Will walks beside his friend the buck, absorbing the harsh reality. He turns back to his friends, hand on chin, deep in thought. His expression darkens as he prepares to clarify the situation. He strolls alongside Max, his mind racing with the dire circumstances. He gently strokes the buck's head, sensing its urgency. Will reveals that Max has a sick newborn fawn. The fawn's mother collapsed while searching for healing herbs. Luna Maria listens, her face shifting to one of growing horror. She gasps as the pieces of the puzzle start to align. Will confirms her dread. The holy orchid is the fawn's only hope. He asks Max, who informed him, already suspecting it was Mother Miria. Max the buck nods solemnly, affirming the grim reality. Will states he suspected as much, his voice heavy with betrayal. Luna Maria watches, rendered speechless by the harsh trial. He concludes that Miria was aware of Max's plight and crafted the trial around it. He inquires about his daughter's condition, needing to grasp the urgency. Luna Maria ponders if this is merely a test of their compassion. She considers that giving Max the flowers might mean failing their challenge. Will shakes his head, certain his mother isn't that sentimental. He asserts that returning empty-handed guarantees their failure. Luna Maria faces a stark decision: take the orchid or save the fawn. Will realizes their only alternative is a perilous return to the dragon's nest. The sun rises higher, reminding them that noon is their deadline. Will's face reflects deep inner conflict, caught in a moral dilemma. He clenches his fist, aware that he must make an impossible choice. In a sunlit room, a bucket of water rests on the floor. Mother Miria, calm and beautiful, sweeps the room with a broom. Through the window, Will's two female companions wait outside. She wipes a wooden surface, her movements graceful and intentional. A pair of hands wrings out a wet cloth above the bucket. In a sunlit room, a woman named Miria faces questions about her overbearing nature. A brawny figure, Ronin, leans against the doorframe, scrutinizing her intently. Myriad turns with an irritated huff, her duster at the ready. Chibi versions of the duo bicker, with Mirius chastising Ronin for his mess. Ronin exhales in frustration, clearly tired of their squabbling. He teasingly peeks beneath the bed, joking about discovering Will's hidden treasures. Myriad angrily shoves his head into the floor, blaming him for the mess. With a swift yank, she tugs on his ear, making him wince. Her demeanor softens, exuding a quiet assurance that Will pass his test. Meanwhile, Ronin is questioned about his faith in their mission's success. He replies with unwavering confidence, asserting that Will could easily take down a dragon. Suddenly, his expression shifts, eyes wide with shock and creeping dread. He grips Miria's shoulders, demanding to know what she has done. Miria meets his gaze with a calm, almost sly grin. Ronin's expression darkens as he listens, starting to grasp the gravity of the situation. His face reflects a mix of reluctant understanding and mild irritation. Miria reveals that the fawn is ill and her supply of herbs has run dry. She rhetorically questions if they could gather many flowers, then dismisses the idea. The explanation clarifies that clustered orchids only thrive deep within the dragon's lair. Myriad observes that Will is weighed down by a deadline and a companion. A dark, thorny backdrop signifies the trap she has meticulously crafted. Will appears in a thought bubble as Miria argues he has no reason to take the risk. Her face displays a look of cunning satisfaction, her elaborate scheme exposed. Luna Maria is depicted holding the sole precious bunch of holy orchids. Maria's voiceover explains that only one bunch grows in the cave's shallow area. Ronin grins, finally grasping the full cruel extent of her challenge. Myriad confidently asserts that Will's kindness will compel him to confront the greater threat. She casually suggests airing out Ronin's futon while they wait. Ronin's expression shifts back to serious and confrontational. Myriad turns to him, feigning innocence, and asks what's bothering him. He lets out a small, knowing laugh, seeing through her facade. He spins around, accusing her of underestimating Will for far too long. Myriad emits a dramatically outraged shriek, vehemently rejecting the claim. Ronin takes a seat, calling her out for being excessively protective. He argues that Will's growth necessitates his eventual departure from the mountain. A vision of Will reveals him as a capable and self-sufficient young man. Luna Maria's face appears, her expression filled with worry and determination. The anxious father, Buck, watches, awaiting their decision. Will turns to Luna Maria and the deer, prepared to declare his choice. Luna Maria holds the orchid, agreeing to hand it over to his friend. She expresses her certainty, stating she cannot overlook the danger his friend faces. Will gazes at her with a gentle smile, grateful for her understanding. Luna Maria voices her concerns about the limited time remaining for their trial. Will's voice reassures her, insisting there's no need for concern. He declares his plan to venture back alone into the dragon's nest. His strategy is to swiftly locate where the holy orchids bloom in clusters. Luna Maria urgently grabs his arm, insisting she will accompany him. She warns him that the dragons lurking in the depths are far more perilous. She argues that the heightened danger is exactly why she must join him. Her hand slips from his arm as she continues to press her case. She asks what he would do if he found himself in trouble alone. With a playful tap on her nose, she reminds him that she discovered the flowers. Will nods, a bead of sweat forming, acknowledging her correctness. The pouch filled with sacred orchids hangs securely around the buck's neck. Will's hands tug at the pouch's ties, securing it tightly. He gazes at the deer, a gentle smile gracing his face, saying, "There you go." He tells the buck to concentrate on its fawn while he gathers the herbs. His eyes widen as he spots something on the deer's leg. He notices the battered, torn legs of the desperate father deer. Empathy washes over him as he understands the deer's sacrifice. Will casts a healing spell, his hand glowing brightly above the deer's leg. The deer's legs now shimmer, completely healed and free from injury. He wishes the deer well, hoping to see its lively fawn thriving soon. The deer bolts into the forest as Will calls out for it to hurry. Will and Luna Maria exchange a determined glance, ready for their turn. Suddenly, Will scoops Luna Maria into his arms, catching her off guard. He explains that this is the quickest way to navigate the cave. He instructs Tilia to use a windshield and cautions them not to bite their tongues. Tilia looks at Luna Maria, resolute to conquer the trial no matter what. Luna Maria nods with equal determination, her face set with resolve. They surge forward, a blur of motion as their second attempt begins. Miria gazes out a window, lamenting that her cleaning efforts were in vain. Ronan sits patiently beneath a large tree on a grassy hill. The view ascends the tree, revealing its twisted ancient branches. Miria decides to prepare a delightful welcome meal despite her solitude. Vandal peers out a window, a book in hand, observing the day unfold. The chapter title page depicts the rustic house perched on the mountain. Ronan enters the kitchen, asking Mary if they should return soon. Vandal inquires if Miria is still sulking over Will's departure. He lets out a knowing chuckle as he watches from the balcony. He reminds her that they can't keep Will caged like a trapped bird. Ronan gazes at the setting sun, confidently asserting it won't be long now. A boot firmly steps onto the grassy path, signaling a determined arrival. Will and Luna Maria return, clutching a large bouquet of sacred orchids. They look at Ronan and Miria, announcing their return home. Miria glances back, her face softening with relief and maternal pride. From the porch, she welcomes them home as they approach the house. A hand ruffles Will's hair with affectionate, forceful pride. Ronan proudly congratulates Will, noting how much he has matured. He also praises Luna Maria for bringing back so many orchids. Ronan declares that Miria should have no reason to complain now. Mirius yells Will's name and tackles him in a hug, sending Ronan tumbling. She clings to him, tearfully asking if he's hurt or felt lonely. Will reassures her, saying he can use the healing techniques she taught. He then inquires about Max the deer and whether the medicine worked. Mirius smiles softly, confirming the buck returned and the medicine was given. Will and Luna Maria express their relief that the little doe will heal. Vandal addresses the group, stating that Miria has something significant to share. Miria appears conflicted and distressed, letting out a soft, hesitant sound. A memory flashes of Will and Luna Maria's victorious return with the flowers. An imposing robed wizard stands with a swordsman and a goddess, Miria. Vandal mentions that Miria has something crucial to share with the young adventurers. Myriad, looking pained, admits they successfully returned the holy orchid to the past. With a beaming smile, she joyfully announces that Will has completed the third trial. A colossal eagle's shadow looms over them, its voice praising both Will and the priestess. The great bird lands with a resounding thud, and Will exclaims, recognizing Father Laos. Laos, the eagle, affirms he has personally seen all three trials come to a close. He then proclaims that Will embark on his journey in 10 days. This adventure will commence on the day Will turns 15 and reaches adulthood. Will excitedly calls out to his mother, Miria, brimming with joy and anticipation. Myriad affectionately tells Will and Luna Maria to tidy up, promising a celebratory feast. An eager Will exclaims his love for his mother's cooking, looking forward to the meal. Ronan whispers a cheeky warning to Luna Maria, suggesting she steer clear of Miria's cooking. He explains that her peculiar herbs make the food taste and smell dreadful. Ronan reassures Luna Maria that his own delicious meals will be available for her enjoyment. Luna Maria, clutching the orchids, gratefully accepts his offer with a determined look. Later, the whole family gathers around a table filled with a splendid feast. During the meal, Will gently offers a piece of his food to a delighted Luna Maria. Ronan and Vandal share hearty laughter, relishing the food and drinks at the lively gathering. Will's kind act of sharing food completely catches Luna Maria off guard. Overwhelmed by surprise and shyness, Luna Maria becomes a dizzy, wobbling mess. The joyful feast wraps up, leaving a table strewn with empty plates and bowls. Later that night, Luna Maria is seen sleeping soundly beneath a thick, warm blanket. The house on the mountain remains quiet and serene under a starry night sky. Will sits thoughtfully on a windowsill, staring at the full moon, pondering his future. Father Ronan approaches Will, stating that with only days remaining, all his time will be spent training. In a sunlit clearing, Ronan observes as Will readies himself to face him. Will confidently accepts the challenge, urging his father to hold nothing back. Ronan's expression turns fierce and focused as he initiates the intense training session. The two engage in a fierce duel, their blades clashing with tremendous force. Will grits his teeth, his face a mask of concentration as he deflects his father's strikes. In a vast library, Vandal shares insights with Will about the knowledge essential for his journey. Will inquires with his mentor for book suggestions to take along on his journey. Vandal eagerly pulls a massive, overwhelming stack of books from the shelves for Will. Will panics at the sheer volume of books, while Vandal chuckles at his own enthusiasm. Will assures Father Vandal he won't waste the knowledge he's been given. Vandal explains that true skill lies in discerning what is valuable from endless information. The night sky is clear and filled with stars above the roof of the mountain home. Will relaxes in a steaming stone bath as his mother's voice inquires about his comfort. Miria enters wrapped in a towel, brushing off his flustered protests about being an adult. Will splashes in surprise, shocked by his mother's unexpected appearance. Miria gently runs her fingers through his hair, commenting on its beautiful luster. Will explains that his lovely hair is due to her special shampoo and beauty tips. Miria's expression is soft and filled with maternal affection as she tends to her son. She gently advises him not to be lazy and to maintain his hair while traveling. Will glances back at his mother, touched by her tender care and love. She leans in and plants a soft, loving kiss on his cheek. Miria tells him that if his journey becomes too challenging, he is always welcome back home. She offers to wash the rest of his body, causing him to panic and jump out. Will hurriedly declares he's getting out, flustered by his mother's boldness. Will and Luna Maria explore the mountain, accompanied by the great Wolf Schultz. Luna Maria sincerely thanks Lord Will for inviting her to see his home. She shares that witnessing his homeland firsthand has always been her dream. Will reassures her, happy to show her around, even if it interrupts family time. With a gentle smile, he promises she won't find it dull. The two are seen joyfully splashing each other in a sparkling, cool stream. Will describes his favorite spots: the fruit-laden forest, the breezy hill, and the brook. He perches in a tree while Luna Maria blushes, enchanted by the ripe fruit. A variety of friendly forest creatures gather to greet and wave at them. A majestic stag and a curious fawn observe them with gentle expressions. They sit peacefully in a clearing, surrounded by the forest's wildlife. Will relaxes on a grassy slope, completely at ease with Luna Maria beside him. 10 days have passed since the trials, marking the day of departure. Vandal, Ronan, and Miria stand together, watching Will with pride and seriousness. Will tightens the straps on his travel pack, preparing for the journey ahead. He gives his pack a final pat, ensuring everything is secure. He taps his foot, his stance radiating eagerness to start the adventure. Ronan wishes Will a happy 15th birthday, noting this is the day he departs. Will thanks his parents before shouting a cheerful goodbye as he leaves. Later, deep in the forest, Will calls out to Luna Maria. He explains he's been following her north since they left home. Luna Maria asks, wide-eyed, if they actually have a destination in mind. She looks a bit sheepish, admitting her inexperience in the outside world. Luna Maria confesses this is her first time off the mountain, knowing only what she's learned. She then confidently asserts that they do have a destination. Using a map, she shows Will their current location in Midnia. She explains their goal is a northern forest revealed by a divine message. Will asks if they'll find something significant there, and she affirms it. Luna Maria reveals their aim is to locate the legendary Holy Sword. Will recalls the tale of a sword embedded in stone, waiting for a worthy hero. He exclaims with youthful excitement that he read about this legend in a book. A moment of confusion crosses his face as he admits he thought it was just a myth. Luna Maria confirms the legend states only the hero of the sword is worthy. She explains she was guided by the goddess and is certain of their purpose. With unwavering faith, she suggests that Lord Will might be destined to draw it. Will fidgets, feeling flustered and slightly overwhelmed by this monumental possibility. He protests that rushing will only tire them out before they even arrive. Filled with enthusiasm, Luna Maria grabs his hand, insisting they should hurry. After Will's protest, Luna Maria apologizes for her eagerness, agreeing with him. She suggests they proceed calmly and head to a village for supplies. Will perks up at the thought of seeing a village for the first time. Luna Maria admits that Will was the first human she met not long ago, honoring him. She adds that there's a large town on the way, reigniting Will's excitement. Will is visibly surprised and intrigued by the news of a big town ahead. He confidently takes charge of foraging, proudly presenting a delicious-looking mushroom. His patience wanes, and he asks Luna Maria if they could speed up after all. Their path leads them to the edge of a vast, serene, crystal-clear lake. A solitary figure sits by the lake's bank, peacefully fishing. The figure is a small girl with blonde hair wearing a red hooded cloak. Her fishing line breaks the tranquil surface of the water with a soft plop. A young blonde girl jumps at a sudden rustling sound from the nearby bushes. Her eyes widen, tears forming as she cries out, fearing a bear is near. The rustling in the bushes intensifies, hinting at a large creature approaching. She brandishes her fishing rod like a weapon, yelling for the threat to back off. Fear grips her heart as she stares, her face frozen in shock. With shaking hands, she grips her makeshift weapon tightly, bracing for a fight. From the underbrush, a dark-haired young man appears alongside his elegant companion. The girl's eyes widen in astonishment at the sight of the two unexpected visitors. Confusion replaces her fear as she stutters, questioning if they are truly human. The two groups face off in a hilariously tense, chibi-style standoff. The young man watches with a sheepish, slightly dazed look. A tranquil lakeside moment is interrupted by a query about their catch. With a huge sigh of relief, the girl bursts into laughter, playfully scolding them. Her good-natured annoyance continues as she tells them not to scare her like that again. Now, the three sit together peacefully by the lake. The earlier tension vanished. Will shares that he and his friend are on a journey, asking her why she's there. She explains she's challenging the lake's kingfish for her master, a hero. Will's expression sharpens with surprise and intrigue at the mention of a hero. He exclaims in disbelief, questioning her astonishing claim about serving a hero. Puffing out her chest with pride, she proclaims herself the servant of the hero of the sword. Will's heart races with excitement as he expresses a genuine wish to meet this hero. She laments that the great hero isn't here, waiting at the forest's edge. His companion, Luna Maria, sulks, questioning why the girl would brave such a perilous forest alone. The girl confidently asserts that the hero trusts her completely, despite her meager catch. Holding her small fish, she resolves to meet her master's lofty expectations. With a determined shout, she skillfully casts her line far into the lake. The bait lands softly in the water, ripples spreading across the surface. Beneath the calm surface, the line tightens as something massive takes the bait. The water erupts in a huge splash, signaling that a fierce struggle is about to begin. The girl yells that it's coming, bracing herself against the powerful unseen force. She recognizes the immense strength on her line as the legendary king carp of the lake. Water sprays everywhere as the creature thrashes violently just beneath the surface. A gigantic fish leaps from the water, its size dwarfing the onlookers on the rocks. Both Will and the girl stare in disbelief, exclaiming that the king carp is massive. Will observes in astonishment that the fish is more than twice their size. He warns her that the fish is too large and she won't be able to reel it in. She screams defiantly, vowing to hold on even if it costs her life. Her hands grip the rod with all her strength, the wood creaking under the strain. Someone shouts a warning, realizing the peril of her desperate struggle. The force of the pull begins dragging her toward the rocky bank's edge. She is violently yanked off her feet, sent flying helplessly through the air. Her body arcs over the water as she is pulled directly toward the giant fish. The king carp's enormous mouth opens wide, ready to swallow her whole. Her eye twitches in sheer terror as her fate seems sealed. The horrifying thought of being eaten flashes through her mind. In a final desperate cry, she screams for the great hero to save her. In a heartbeat, Will leaps into action, sprinting forward with incredible speed. He looks up, tracking her descent as she falls helplessly through the air. His footfalls pound the ground as he propels himself forward to catch her. The scene blurs with his astonishing speed as he closes the gap in an instant. A close-up reveals his focused, determined expression as he executes the daring rescue. He catches her effortlessly in a bridle hold, rescuing her from the depths below. Completely stunned, she realizes she's soaring through the air instead of being devoured. Her face reflects sheer shock and bewilderment as she grips him tightly. Will glances down, calmly inquiring about her distress while she wonders who he is. Overwhelmed with gratitude, she tearfully thanks him from the bottom of her heart. Will humbly brushes it aside while she mourns her lack of a proper gift. With a sigh, she observes her fishing rod is shattered, as if it was cleanly severed. Will sweats nervously, praying she doesn't realize he's the one who cut the line. Luna Maria wisely notes that the massive fish would have been impossible to transport. The girl agrees, choosing to abandon her quest and head back to her master. Will watches, a flicker of surprise crossing his face at her abrupt choice. She asks to join their journey, and they readily accept her. Extending her hand, she gets ready to formally introduce herself to her new allies. She reveals her name is Lynx, and Will introduces himself along with Luna Maria. The trio strolls together through the sunlit forest. A new team formed. Lynx expresses her astonishment that Luna Maria, a priestess, serves Lord Will. She's in awe, struggling to believe a priestess of Gaia is a servant. Recalling her rescue, she eagerly asks if Lord Will is a renowned wizard. Will calmly refutes being a wizard, adding that he's not famous at all. He gestures toward a mountain, explaining he just departed from the legendary abode of the gods. He assures the skeptical girl that he was raised there. Link laughs, dismissing his unbelievable claim as a ridiculous jest, though Will insists it's true. Luna Maria smiles gently, confident that one day, Lord Will's name will be known worldwide. Link counters proudly, asserting her master, the hero of the sword, will never be defeated. A silent crackling tension builds between the two devoted servants. As they approach the forest's edge, Will attempts to soothe them, mentioning the hero's camp is close. Luna Maria's expression turns serious as she warns Will of the scent of blood ahead. Lynx gasps, her face filled with alarm at the foreboding warning. Crying out for the great hero, Lynx dashes ahead toward the source of the threat. Luna Maria declares that she and Will should follow her into the chaos. The sounds of combat grow louder, confirming a fierce battle rages just ahead. Will and Luna Maria peer through the trees, their faces reflecting shock at the sight. A savage clash unfolds, with a horde of goblins attacking a fallen comrade. A trio of female admirers swoon from the sidelines, calling their hero impressive. A self-assured warrior claims that only foolish goblins would dare challenge him. In the clearing, the hero Levine declares that none of the goblins will escape. He announces his full title, the Great Levine, Hero of the Sword, and readies for battle. Will and Luna Maria step into the clearing, taken aback by the scene. Will gazes with a slightly dazed expression, recognizing the legendary figure. Levine strikes a heroic stance, proclaiming himself as the hero of the sword. He stands boldly among fallen goblins, prepared for the next wave of attackers. With his sword at the ready, he taunts the goblins, challenging them to confront him. He reiterates his name and title, the Great Levine, Hero of the Sword. The goblin horde reacts to his arrogance with a collective furious screech. Levine stands ready for combat, the very embodiment of a celebrated champion. From the edge of the clearing, Will and Luna Maria watch the unfolding battle. Will murmurs the title Hero of the Sword, his expression one of awe. The hero's fan club cheers him on, curious about the newcomer's identities. Lynx, now among the fans, cups her hands and shouts encouragement to the great hero. A young girl, Lynx, calls out in relief to Lord Will and his companion. She expresses regret for her sudden departure, relieved that Will is safe. With excitement, she inquires if they have spotted her master. She beams, pointing to a blonde warrior, declaring him Master Levine. Will and Luna Maria take in the hero's lean, attractive physique. Link gushes, claiming her master's sword can cleave through boulders. Will, unimpressed, mutters that he can do similar things. A pack of snarling goblins prepares to launch an assault on the hero. Levine coolly observes about 30 goblins interrupting his meal. He expresses gratitude to his fans, cautioning them to keep their distance. Luna Maria dryly points out that the adoring girls are part of the hero's fan club. Will watches critically, questioning if this is truly the kingdom's mightiest swordsman. Levine mocks the hesitant goblins, probing their fear to attack. A confident smirk appears as he decides to take the initiative. He tightens his fist, gearing up to charge into battle. With a fierce shout, he announces his approach. A goblin flinches in fear at the hero's sudden aggressive move. He effortlessly sidesteps a wild swing from his first foe. With a blood-smeared grin, he declares one already down. The fallen goblin bears a deep wound across its midsection. He taunts the remaining goblins, inviting them to experience his blade. His face radiates arrogant confidence as he slices through them. One of his admirers marvels at the true might of the sword-wielding hero. Will, however, watches with a deeply concerned look. Levine presses on with his attack, his face twisted in exertion and joy. Will recognizes the skill in his swordplay but senses something amiss. A goblin archer shrieks, signaling an ambush from behind. 2 goblin archers release a barrage of arrows aimed at the hero. It's more than just technique. Will feels a flaw in his fighting style. The arrows soar through the air, targeting the distracted warrior. Levine curses their audacity while deflecting the incoming arrows. A smaller goblin seizes the chance, swarming and clinging to him. He throws them off with a powerful burst of energy. Frustration etches his face as he grits his teeth, composure slipping. He roars at the pesky creatures, demanding they get off him. Link cries out her master's name in alarm as he gets overwhelmed. Hidden among the trees, another archer draws back its bowstring. Luna Maria and her companion shout a warning about the concealed attacker. The arrow is released, flying straight toward the distracted Levine. Levine is about to be hit, his eyes wide with shock. In an instant, Will intercepts the arrow, landing back-to-back with Levine. The hero's expression shifts to pure astonishment at his unexpected rescue. A slight confident smile appears on Will's face after his intervention. The two swordsmen stand united, prepared to confront the remaining goblins. Levine's fans watch, one in shock while the other breathes a sigh of relief. Recovering, Levine turns to Will, suspicion etched on his face. He aggressively aims his sword at Will, demanding to know his identity. Flustered, Will introduces himself, puzzled by the scolding for helping. He explains that he encountered Levine's servant, Lynx, in the woods. He offers to provide support for the hero during the battle. Levine accepts the assistance, though his expression reveals clear hesitation. The proud hero visibly bristles at the mention of support. He forcefully pushes Will aside, warning him to stay out of his path. As Levine charges ahead, Will observes him with a contemplative look. Will figures out that Levine struggles against organized groups. He resolves to guard Levine's rear, readying for a surprise attack. Will executes a seamless strike, taking down a goblin from behind. Levine glances back, utterly astonished by the unexpected tactic. He internally marvels, having never seen such graceful swordsmanship. The hero's supporters are puzzled, noticing the emergence of a strong boy. They accuse Will of trying to overshadow their hero. Luna Maria passionately cheers for Will, proclaiming the mother goddesses are with him. Lynx is in awe, stating that Lord Will is as remarkable as her master. She stomps her foot, impressed by his adept use of magic and sword. From above, Levine observes Will, irritated by the idea of needing support. His pride is clearly hurt, and he silently expresses his discontent. A defeated goblin lies on the ground, a casualty of the fight. A massive goblin cackles menacingly, gearing up to attack. Levine's ally shouts a warning about the looming threat. The enormous goblin swings its club with savage force. A broad view reveals Will taking down goblins while Levine scrutinizes. A goblin is gruesomely cleaved in two, blood spraying through the air. Will's gaze sharpens with concentration as he continues his precise assault. Levine strikes a dramatic pose on a small cliff for his audience. His fans are astonished, witnessing a goblin suddenly split apart. They quickly assume the great hero accomplished the feat in an instant. Levine scoffs, claiming credit for the impressive kill. He boasts loudly, laughing that this is the fate awaiting his foes. Will internally dismisses the hero's boastful claim as absurd. His thoughts race, questioning if the technique was a sword flash. He knows only Swordmaster class fighters can pull off such a move. Frustration washes over him as he admits he can't do it either. This leaves him pondering how this boy managed to achieve it. Will refocuses on the battlefield, his expression intense. He approaches the remaining goblins who tremble in fear. With two swift slashes, he takes down the last of the creatures. A wider shot reveals the remaining goblins fleeing into the woods. Furious, Levine demands they halt and confront his sword of justice. He clicks his tongue in annoyance as his targets escape. Link rushes towards her master, calling out to the great hero. She praises him, saying he dealt with the goblins remarkably fast. Will informs Levine that he brought his servant, Luna Maria, with him. Lynx looks disheartened, explaining she failed to catch the giant king carp. She recounts how Lord Will saved her from being devoured. Levine grabs her, coldly labeling her a useless servant for returning empty-handed. Will's expression hardens as he witnesses the hero's harshness. He steps forward, telling Levine there's no need to speak to her like that. Lynx tries to step in, telling Will to hold on and claiming it was her fault. The hero's other fans angrily question who Will and Luna Maria are. Despite the mistreatment, Lynx insists that Lord Will has done nothing wrong. With narrowed eyes and a predatory gaze, Levine decides on his next move. Towering over the young man with dark hair, he voices his displeasure about the earlier goblin skirmish. His grip on the sword hilt tightens as he mentions the newcomer is getting under his skin. Levine thrusts his blade forward, vowing to make his opponent reconsider his choices. In a dramatic close-up, he commands the young man to draw his sword. The two fighters stand opposed, the tension of their duel palpable in the air. Will, the dark-haired youth, watches intently, contemplating the challenge ahead. With a steady yet assertive tone, Will consents to the duel, embracing the challenge. His friend, Luna Maria, anxiously grabs his arm, pleading for him to pause. A close-up reveals her hands clutching his arm tightly, trying to pull him away. Will turns to her, surprise etched on his face at her sudden forceful plea. In a hushed tone, she warns him that their foe is no mere swordsman, but a legendary hero. Will confidently reassures her, claiming his own swordmaster was a god, so he can manage. A flustered Luna Maria concedes, admitting she got swept up in the title for a moment. Her demeanor shifts to serious as she raises a more tactical concern for them to ponder. She notes that their opponent is a proud man, clearly irritated by the current situation. An easy win, she muses, could lead to complications just days into their journey. She proposes that declining the duel might be a wise course of action. Will listens carefully to her advice, his expression contemplative. Resolutely, he turns away, telling her to trust him, promising to manage it somehow. From across the clearing, an impatient Levine yells, demanding to know how long he must wait. Stepping forward, Will apologizes for the holdup and formally accepts the hero's challenge. Levine scoffs, mocking Will for holding on to his woman, yet admitting he feels an intriguing energy. Demanding entertainment, he lunges forward, kicking off the duel with astonishing speed. He unleashes a fierce battle cry, pouring all his strength into the initial strike. Will's gaze is sharp and alert, his body primed to respond to the incoming attack. With a single fluid motion, he elegantly sidesteps the hero's powerful thrust. Levine's follow-up strike crashes into the ground, but Will has already jumped clear. He grudgingly acknowledges the well-executed dodge, noting Will didn't even need to counter. The hero taunts, asking how long he thinks he can maintain these evasive tactics. Will positions his sword defensively, prepared to confront the next assault head-on. Their blades collide, sending sparks flying, the impact resonating through the air. Levine's eyes widen in disbelief, questioning how Will halted his strike with such slender arms. His astonishment quickly transforms into a genuine grin as he recognizes Will's skill. Pressing forward, Levine shouts that his opponent can't sustain this luck indefinitely. On the sidelines, a young girl named Lynx observes the fierce exchange, her expression tense. Levine's other admirers swoon, cheering that the hero's strikes are elegant, while his rival is defenseless. A concerned Lynx turns to Luna Maria, asking if they should step in, fearing the worst. Luna Maria smiles calmly, assuring her that there's nothing to fear. Lord Will is formidable. The swords clash with tremendous force, sparks erupting between the two fighters. Levine lets out a frustrated grunt as his powerful strikes are consistently deflected. Will's expression remains focused as he realizes he can glean something vital from these blows. He detects the concentrated willpower gathered at the very tip of the hero's sword. A memory from his childhood training with Father Ronan resurfaces in his mind. In the flashback, Ronan calls out to a trembling young Will, insisting he can't be deceived. His father points out that he is merely pretending to practice, clearly distracted by something. A blushing Will admits he had promised to explore a cave with his animal companions. Ronan lets out a weary sigh at his student's youthful preoccupation. He begins to impart an essential lesson to the attentive young Will. Ronan explains that a battle isn't solely about strength, but also about standing firm. He continues, adding that it also involves adhering to one's own convictions. A vivid memory plays out, showcasing Ronan executing a fluid and powerful sword technique. He urges Will to infuse his fighting spirit into the very tip of his blade. The lesson progresses as he instructs Will to also channel his promise to protect his friends. Ronan cautions that any faltering in this determination will become a vulnerability for foes. The young warrior wobbles, struggling to hold his ground under the weight of the lesson. Eventually, he collapses, utterly drained from the rigorous training. Will remembers being unable to move until nightfall after that exhausting session. Despite the agony, he joyfully realizes he has gained new knowledge, expressing gratitude to his father. In the present, Will senses the emotions radiating from the tip of Levine's sword. He discerns the hero's true emotions, frustration and uncertainty, not just raw power. Levine's face twists in frustration, questioning who his opponent believes he is. He wonders internally why Will possesses such skill, thinking his own confidence stemmed from talent. The hero's gaze sharpens, feeling deeply unsettled by his opponent's uncanny prowess. Levine is astonished at how effortlessly Will evades his strikes, as if predicting his every move. It feels like Will's eyes can pierce through him, revealing his very essence. Furious, Levine yells at Will to stop staring at him with that insightful look. In a final decisive moment, Will's sword is knocked away as he stumbles back. His friends shout his name in alarm as he falls, disarmed on the ground. Levine looms over him, panting from the effort of the hard-fought battle. Will sits defeated on the ground as his friends rush to his side, worried. He stands up, conceding defeat and recognizing Levine as the true sword hero. A close-up reveals Will's open hand, a clear sign of his surrender. Levine offers a small, satisfied grin, pleased with his hard-earned victory. Will watches with a slightly anxious yet accepting expression after the duel ends. Levine admits he hasn't been very mature, still fuming over the escaped goblins. His fan club erupts in cheers, celebrating the great hero's impressive and hard-fought win. Lynx, however, puffs her cheeks, slightly annoyed by the whole situation. Luna Maria leans into Will, asking if he intentionally took that final blow. Will responds with a sly, knowing smile to her insightful question. He explains he remembered his father's chess games where Vandal would cleverly let Ronin win. Later, Levine stands outside his tent in a fresh, clean part of the woods. His expression is serious as he surveys the campsite they've relocated to. The previous clearing is shown strewn with the bodies of the fallen goblins. Link calls out to the great hero, ready to follow his commands. Levine declares they are relocating, not wanting to be surrounded by goblin remains. An eager companion immediately agrees, stating she will prepare right away. The three companions trail Levine as they leave the old grim campsite behind. Will approaches Levine, inquiring about his plans following this encounter. Levine explains they will continue toward Northwood in search of the legendary Holy Sword. Will's eyes light up with excitement at the mention of the famed blade. Levine realizes it's time to part ways and thanks Will for saving his life. Will reciprocates, expressing he enjoyed their brief time together and hopes to meet again. They share a firm handshake, with Levine wishing Will safe travels on his journey. The scene shifts to a stunning starry night sky above the thick forest canopy. Levine and his three companions gather around a crackling campfire in a new clearing. One of his followers suggests he must be tired, but he boasts that goblins are no challenge. His follower gazes at him with pure admiration, calling him the great hero. Levine glances at the hearty meal she has prepared, commenting on how appetizing it looks. As he sits down, his leg twitches involuntarily from the immense strain of the day. A blond young man, Levine decides to let his three female companions serve him. One of the girls protests, insisting she should be the first to feed him. Another friend manages to feed him a spoonful, and he exclaims, "It's delicious." With a joyful laugh, Levine declares he'll trust them for the night. The campfire dwindles, leaving only a heap of glowing embers and ash. Levine's three female companions are seen sleeping peacefully under a shared blanket. From his bedroll, Levine quietly rises, unable to find rest. He wanders alone through the moonlit woods, his face etched with worry. Gripping his gloved right hand, he battles a visible tremor. A close-up shows his hands shaking uncontrollably from the aftermath of battle. The cheerful words of his companions about him being spoiled echo in his thoughts. He scoffs internally, realizing his hand is too numb to even grasp a spoon. With a tight fist, he stifles his frustration and the pain radiating from his arm. His mind drifts to Will, recalling the powerful sword flash from their duel. He reaches a tranquil, shimmering river, its surface glistening under the stars. Seeking solace, he steps into the cool water, splashing as he moves. His discarded hero uniform lies on a rock by the riverbank. Beneath the full moon, her feminine silhouette emerges in the glistening water. A unique wing-like tattoo adorns her upper chest as she reflects. A close-up reveals the intricate design of the sword's mark. This mark supposedly proves her identity as the sword's hero. Overwhelmed by the weight of it all, she splashes the water in frustration. Her thoughts flash back to the moment she learned of her father's death and her family's shame. She recalls deciding to live as a man to restore her family's honor. She scolds herself for being a foolish girl hiding behind a facade of vanity. Her thoughts wander to her parents as she floats beneath the full moon. Submerged in the water, she finds a rare moment of quiet contemplation. She notices with relief that most of the numbness in her arm has faded. As she floats, a memory from her earlier encounter surfaces. The thought crystallizes as she recalls a specific detail about Will. She remembers Will mentioning the legendary Holy Sword. A desperate new idea begins to take shape in her tired mind. Reaching for the moon, she wonders if the sword could provide her with greater strength. The starry night gives way to the bright clouds of dawn. The sun rises over the forested mountains, heralding a new day. A dark path through the woods opens into a much brighter clearing. Sunlight pours down onto a lush, grassy trail ahead. A single booted foot steps confidently into the sunlit grass. On a hilltop, Will excitedly points ahead, telling Luna Maria he can see the road. He joyfully identifies the road to Northwood, the city near the northern border. Now on the road, Will marvels at its size, so different from the mountains. He glances back at Luna Maria, a happy, slightly bashful smile on his face. Luna Maria notices his happiness, and he admits she can see it. He explains how refreshing this wide road feels after only knowing mountain paths. Will expresses his wonder at the small village they passed on their journey. An elderly villager had cheerfully invited the lovely priestess to stay overnight. Will points out the many horse tracks and deep ruts in the dirt road. Luna Maria explains that this indicates a thriving trade network. Suddenly, the thunderous sound of galloping hooves shatters the peaceful scene. Will turns, spotting a group of horses and carriages approaching from afar. Luna Maria clarifies they are coming from the north, from the city of Northwood. Will's face shifts to alarm as the carriage hurtles toward them. He yells a warning, yanking Luna Maria out of harm's way. The carriage zooms by recklessly, leaving Karen in shock, splattered with mud. A second wagon rattles away into the distance. Will holds on to Luna Maria, commenting on the reckless speed of the carriages. Luna Maria mentions seeing a girl in the window, seemingly pleading for help. Karen notes she caught a brief glimpse of another hooded carriage following. Her expression is one of horror as she recalls the terrifying sight. She describes the second carriage filled with threatening armed thugs. Luna Maria asks if Will is troubled by the situation, and he admits he is. With unwavering trust in his instincts, Luna Maria urges him to chase after them. She advises him to always trust his gut when something feels off. Will nods, determination in his eyes, accepting her counsel. Together, Will and Luna Maria prepare for his sudden departure. He observes that the carriage sped away, already out of sight. He asks Luna Maria to stay and guard their belongings, and she agrees. With a surge of energy, Will propels himself forward, cracking the ground. Luna Maria watches, a mix of worry and confidence, as he disappears. He flies through the air, his body tense as he moves at incredible speed. Touching down lightly, he scans the horizon while sprinting across the fields. At last, he spots the carriages veering off the main road into the woods. Fist clenched, he resolves to hurry and catch up with them. With another powerful leap, he bounds across the terrain toward the forest. The two carriages race down a narrow wooded trail. Inside one, a young woman named Karen screams as the carriage jolts violently. Terrified, she cries for help as something slams against the carriage door. The door splinters from a forceful blow from outside. The door is torn from its hinges as Karen screams in sheer terror. A brutish thug with a scar looms threateningly in the doorway. Karen flinches in fear, recognizing the immediate danger surrounding her. The thug steps inside the carriage, a cruel grin on his face. He smirks, confirming her identity as the daughter of the Anaheim Company. He tells her he has a job to do, and she will be coming with them. A sudden loud thud from above shocks both the thug and Karen. The thug looks up, puzzled and questioning the source of the noise. Another thug from the second carriage yells that someone is on the roof. The first thug jumps in surprise, his eyes darting to the carriage roof. Perched atop the vehicle, Will confirms his suspicions were right. The thug inside roars in fury, demanding to know where the intruder is hiding. From above, Will grabs the thug's fur-lined collar with astonishing speed. He calmly reminds the man that he indeed came flying. The thug is violently spun around and thrown out of the carriage. Will watches impassively as the thug's body crashes to the ground. He then turns to Karen, who is still trembling in the corner. Karen shakes with fear, her eyes wide in shock from the sudden violence. Will lands gracefully inside the carriage, a second unconscious thug behind him. He apologizes for startling her and introduces himself as her savior, Will. Karen looks up in disbelief, recognizing him as the man from the main road. Will confirms her fears about the pursuers as they shout about trouble. A young woman named Karen looks up in shock as a question is directed at her. In a frantic moment, she claims to be the Anaheim Company's daughter. She discloses that bandits ambushed her during a mission, and she requires assistance. The flashback depicts her guards crafting a decoy to facilitate her escape. The recollection reveals a second hidden group of foes chasing her. Her rescuer softly reassures her that everything will be fine now. Out of nowhere, a crossbow bolt crashes through the carriage window. Will flinches, grimacing as he realizes the shot barely missed him. Karen, her face a mask of fresh fear, shouts a warning. From their position on the floor, they peer through the broken window. The carriage's door and window lie in complete ruin. The blonde thug berates his subordinate for his reckless actions. The leader angrily commands his men to close in and board the carriage. The carriage's wheel rattles violently, sending dirt flying from the rough road. Crouched on the floor, Will and Karen ponder their next move. Will glances outside, trying to formulate a plan to lose their pursuers. He spots the driver slumped over, an arrow embedded in his chest. Will deduces the driver is unconscious, explaining the rampaging horses. Rising, he inquires if Karen has any experience with driving a carriage. In a decisive moment, Will clenches his fist, a new plan taking shape. He gazes at the unconscious driver, determined about his next move. Gently yet firmly, he shifts the unconscious driver back into the main cabin. He tells Karen to hold on to the driver and prepare for a bumpy ride. Karen asks what he intends to do, her voice tinged with worry. Will explains with a confident grin that he observed the terrain from above. The carriage speeds along the dirt road, its wheels rattling. The pursuing thugs spur their horses on, intent on closing the gap. With a powerful kick, Will sends the driver fully into Karen's care. The thug yelps in pain as the driver lands squarely on him. Without a moment's pause, Will leaps out of the open carriage door. He grips the door frame, using it as a springboard for his next action. With remarkable agility, he vaults through the air towards the horses. His boot makes a soft whoosh as he glides through the air. He lands perfectly astride one of the strong white horses pulling the carriage. Speaking to the startled creature, he acknowledges its loyalty to its master. He urges the horse to heed him, his expression filled with intense focus. The horse seems to comprehend, neighing in response to his command. The carriage thunders down the forest path, stirring up dust and debris. The frustrated pursuers curse, baffled by why their target is making this so hard. Will glances back at the chasing carriage, his plan coming together. A grim satisfaction crosses his face as he notes its unfolding as intended. He remembers soaring over the area, taking in the surrounding landscape. His memory reveals a steep cliff looming just ahead on their current route. His strategy involves speeding up to block the enemy's line of sight. The lead thug mocks them, urging them to give up as they pursue. Inside, Karen braces herself and the driver as the carriage shakes violently. Will entices the pursuers closer, pushing his horse to reckless speeds. At the last second, he yanks hard on the reins, shouting a command to turn. The thugs, their view obstructed, mock Will for thinking he can escape. Their jeers turn to screams as their carriage plunges over the cliff's edge. The carriage and its occupants crash into the water far below. Will halts his carriage, the pursuit finally at an end. In a serene wooded area, he cares for the injured driver. A gentle green glow radiates from his hands as he casts a healing spell. The soft light of his magic envelops the driver's injuries. He reassures Karen that the man's life is no longer at risk. Karen watches in awe, her eyes sparkling at his healing prowess. He proposes they head back to the main road where his friend awaits. Will modestly claims his abilities pale in comparison to his mother, Miria. Karen is left in a daze, utterly amazed by his remarkable skills. She is completely enchanted, believing this kind, strong man is her savior. The carriage rolls on through a sprawling, mountainous terrain. On the driver's seat, Karen happily clings to Will's arm. He inquires if she'd feel more at ease inside, but she prefers her spot. Will can only chuckle awkwardly at her boldness. As they arrive, Luna Maria observes Karen's assertiveness, finding it familiar. Luna Maria, Will's companion, stands waiting with a calm demeanor. However, Karen sizes up the newcomer with a sharp, suspicious frown. As the carriage halts, Will explains they were pursued by bandits. Karen instantly views Luna Maria as a contender for Lord Will's affection. With determination, Karen strides toward the priestess to introduce herself. She states her name and company, then makes a startling proclamation. Will is taken aback as Karen declares they are meant to be together. Their horned companion turns to Will, a dark energy radiating from her. The blindfolded woman silently demands an explanation for this twist. Karen insists on whisking a panicked Will to her family's estate. Luna Maria politely declines the invitation, citing their mission. She explains they are on a sacred quest to locate the Holy Sword. Caught between the two, Will feels the weight of Luna Maria's glare. Karen seizes the moment, a sly grin spreading across her face. Will and Luna Maria exchange confused glances at her newfound confidence. She reveals her family, the Anaheim Company, are traders in Northwood. With a triumphant gesture, she announces her family owns the forest. The carriage continues on its path, the matter now resolved. Inside, Karen attempts to ease the tension by discussing her favorite eatery. Luna Maria calmly responds that she and Lord Will visit later, alone. Will can only manage a strained laugh at the escalating rivalry. The young man finds himself squeezed between the two feuding women. Electric tension crackles as Karen and Luna Maria exchange glares. At his wit's end, Will commands them to cease fighting and check on the driver. The two women sulk in the back of the carriage, their argument on hold. The driver groans in agony, his condition deteriorating. He is drenched in sweat, his breathing labored and heavy. Karen calls out in alarm, warning Will that the driver has a fever. Will quickly assesses the situation, realizing the fever stems from blood loss. He takes a seat on the driver's bench, ready to provide assistance. Leaning down, he asks Luna Maria for some medicine for the driver. She hands him a small, neatly wrapped packet of medicine. Luna Maria confidently asserts the medicine should work, learned from Mother Miria. Karen inspects the packet, questioning if it truly is medicine. A young man named Will urgently seeks assistance from a woman with twin tails. She gazes upward, weary yet determined, agreeing to help him. Within the carriage, she meticulously tends to the unconscious driver. The injured man is gently placed on a bench to recuperate. His grimace eases as the medicine starts to work. The two young women exhale in relief, keeping watch over the driver. Karen admires Will's remarkable skills, calling him both strong and wise. She remembers that his mother's name matches that of a renowned goddess. A blonde priestess, Luna Maria, chuckles softly, clearly amused. She confirms that Will's mother is indeed the goddess, leaving Karen stunned. From the driver's seat, Will shares that he was raised by divine parents. Karen realizes his celestial upbringing accounts for his extraordinary abilities. Will then focuses on Karen, posing a question. She lights up with excitement, inquiring about the city of North. Her cheeks flush as she admits this is her first time among so many people. The vast walled city of Northwood comes into view. Karen thinks how adorable Lord Will looks when he's enthusiastic. She describes Northwood as a key merchant hub and distribution center. With great pride, she points out her family's impressive Anaheim Company headquarters. Her expression shifts to somber as she recalls the recent bandit raid and her close call. Will notices some thugs and questions if the country is genuinely unsafe. From inside the carriage, Luna Maria reassures him that it is not. Karen clarifies that the kingdom is usually safe enough for a woman to travel solo. She concludes that handling the attackers is now her family's responsibility. Leaning in, she insists on joining Will in the Holy Sword Forest. She fantasizes about witnessing the historic moment he draws the sword. In her daydream, she is the one to witness this enchanting event. Meanwhile, Luna Maria is consumed by regret and inner conflict. Elsewhere, Will wonders if only the hero of the sword can succeed. His mind drifts to other heroes he has met along his journey. He contemplates whether the swordsman Levine could triumph where others failed. Inside the carriage, Karen observes that the driver's complexion has improved significantly. Will glances back, relief washing over him at the good news. Luna Maria suggests they head north, expecting to reach the town by tomorrow. The carriage continues through a serene, sunlit landscape. Suddenly, Will becomes alert, sensing an ominous presence on the road. A formidable troop of armored knights on horseback charges toward them. Their leader commands the carriage to halt immediately, blocking their way. The knights encircle the carriage, weapons drawn and ready. Will peers out from the driver's seat, gauging the tense standoff. The carriage halts before the intimidating armed contingent. A man in a butler's outfit gracefully dismounts from his horse. He addresses the driver, recognizing the carriage as belonging to the Anaheim Company. His sharp, suspicious gaze then lands on the unfamiliar Will. From the carriage window, Karen calls out to the butler, Johann. She peeks out from the carriage door, surprise evident on her face. Stepping out, she cheerfully asks Johann what brings him here. Johann hurriedly explains that he rushed to find her after she went missing. Karen looks away, embarrassed, admitting she felt safe with Lord Will. Johann's expression darkens as he redirects his focus to Will. Drawing his rapier, he angrily accuses Will of attacking his lady. Karen urgently pulls Johann aside, insisting he has misunderstood everything. She clarifies that it was Lord Will who rescued her from the bandits. Johann clears his throat, feeling embarrassed by his rash and false accusation. A man named Victor steps forward, recognizing Will and Luna Maria as Karen's heroes. Johann steadies himself, his face shifting back to one of stoic resolve. Victor bows deeply, expressing heartfelt gratitude to Will for saving his daughter. Will modestly explains that they merely happened to be present during the crisis. Karen tells Victor about Will's quest for the holy sword hidden in the forest. Victor's face grows contemplative as he processes this new revelation. He offers them a seed in his carriage, which will be accompanied by guards. Victor wishes for them to relax and enjoy the remainder of their journey. Will and Luna Maria watch on, relieved by the calm resolution. The two carriages, one now under nightly escort, traverse the open fields. In the distance, a delicate hand rests on a table, releasing a long sigh. The goddess Miria slumps over a table, drunk and sorrowful, as Vandal scolds her. Vandal questions how long she plans to sulk and feels sorry for herself. Myriad snaps back, stating it's only been a few days since her will departed. From a window, the wizard Laus watches the world outside. He observes that if Will's journey is on track, he will soon reach the town. Myriad frets over the challenges her chosen one must be enduring. Leo confidently asserts that they have equipped Will with the skills to face any challenge. Vandal jests that Will is probably rescuing a damsel, igniting Myria's jealousy. She laments not having seen Leos lately, pondering where he could be. Leo suggests he's likely keeping an eye on Will from a distance, like a bird. A solitary carriage approaches the grand fortified city of Northwood. The view shifts up the stone gate, highlighting its formidable size. The carriage and its escort pass through the raised portcullis into the city. Guards stand vigilant as the travelers officially enter the city. The portcullis slams shut behind them, sealing them within the city confines. Will gazes out the carriage window, his face glowing with awe. The carriage rolls down a broad, sunlit cobblestone street. He is entranced by the lively streets and towering, impressive buildings. The view shifts up a tall clock tower, showcasing the city's grandeur. Will's eyes absorb the vibrant market bustling with people of all sorts. Luna Maria smiles gently, sharing in his quiet thrill and wonder. The streets buzz with the cheerful chatter of the city's residents. Will comments that this lively city rivals even the capital itself. Karen winks, pleased to see him so amazed and enchanted by the city. She offers to guide them around, but remembers another obligation. She asks if she can first go inform her father that she is safe. Will assumes her family is on the main road, but she corrects him. Karen decides to head straight to their manor at the town's edge. Will agrees, wanting to ease her father's worries immediately. The carriage swiftly alters its path toward the family manor. As they move, Will thinks he recognizes someone but brushes it off. The carriage arrives at the grand, sprawling Anaheim family estate. Will and Luna Maria step out, awed by the estate's sheer size. Karen eagerly urges a slightly dazed Will to come inside quickly. A maid rushes out from the large double doors to welcome them. A young maid with dark hair calls out for her milady, relief evident in her voice. She dashes through the courtyard, greeting her lady's return with heartfelt gratitude. Karen expresses regret for the concern she caused and inquires about her father's whereabouts. The maid reveals that her father is anxiously waiting for her in the foyer. Inside the manor, a man paces nervously, his boots echoing on the floor. This man, Karen's father, fidgets restlessly, consumed by anxiety. Another maid rushes in, declaring that the young miss has at last returned. Upon hearing this, Karen bursts through the doors, calling for her father. Her eyes shine with emotion as she races toward him across the hall. She collides with her father, enveloping him in a tight, relieved embrace. Overjoyed, her father exclaims how deeply he worried for her safety. Nearby, Will and the girl with bunny ears observe the reunion, looking awkward. The father finally notices the unfamiliar guest his daughter has brought along. He correctly identifies them as the individuals mentioned in the report he received. Regaining his composure, he formally introduces himself as Victor Anaheim, Karen's father. The group moves to a cozy sitting room to discuss the recent events. Victor thoughtfully recaps his understanding that the attack aimed to kidnap her. He points out that Will from God's Mountain was the one who foiled the scheme. Taking a slow sip of tea, Victor carefully considers the information. Will watches him anxiously, swallowing hard as he awaits the man's verdict. Victor's gaze sharpens, locking on to the young man standing before him. He states that he has a crucial question he needs to pose to Will. In a sudden emotional surge, Victor earnestly asks if Will can bring happiness to Karen. Karen, misunderstanding, excitedly wonders if this means he approves of their union. Her father concedes it would be difficult, but her feelings must be prioritized. Luna Maria listens intently, a bead of sweat trickling down her face. Victor's expression shifts to one of shrewd analysis as he focuses on her. He inquires if the priestess finds anything odd or questionable about their tale. A sly grin forms on Victor's lips as he prepares to share his own insights. He boasts of his business acumen and his ability to trust his instincts. He recalls hearing that Will is a formidable fighter with magical prowess. Victor reasons that neither a divine son nor a priestess would condone evil. His expression softens, revealing genuine trust and contentment. He declares that above all, he will rely on his daughter's judgment. Will is visibly touched by this declaration, his face radiating gratitude. Karen eagerly inquires about wedding attire, but Will quickly advises against it. Luna Maria reminds Victor of the other reason for their trip to the city. Victor recalls that their mission was related to the Holy Sword. He decides to delay that conversation, raising a hand to halt Will. He acknowledges that his daughter and her companions must be weary from travel. With a snap of his fingers, he announces a simple welcome dinner for them. Karen eagerly takes Will's hand, ready to guide him away to prepare. A stern maid with glasses firmly grips Karen's shoulder, halting her. The maid informs them that a separate bath has been arranged for Karen. Will is led into a lavish bathhouse, far more extravagant than he anticipated. Wrapped in a towel, he takes in the luxurious surroundings with astonishment. He reflects that while his mother's taste led to a large bathhouse, this is on another level. As he soaks in the water, he wonders how his mother and the others are faring. He politely declines the maid's offer to wash his back. In another bath, Luna Maria pours water over her flowing blonde hair. She perches on the edge of the bath while Karen relaxes in the water. Karen inquires if Luna Maria requires help from a maid, but she declines. The priestess asserts her unique eyes grant her the ability to see beyond the ordinary. Karen mentions she's become accustomed to outdoor bathing during her journeys with Will. Luna Maria understands they must have a strong bond to bathe together outside. She concludes that Karen poses a serious challenge for Lord Will's affection. With a graceful glide through the water, she approaches her new rival. She praises Karen's beautiful and well-proportioned figure as she draws near. Flustered by the compliment, Karen insists she knows nothing about such matters. Puffing out her chest, Luna Maria confidently claims victory in the bus department. She pinches her stomach, lamenting the extra weight from recent formal feasts. Karen splashes back in defiance, vowing not to be outdone by Luna Maria. Later, a neatly arranged formal shirt is placed on a bedside table. Will adjusts his crumpled cravat while Luna Maria stands beside him, looking calm. The butler, Johann, inquires about the fit of the clothes, and they affirm it's perfect. Will exhales, feeling more at ease in the formal outfit. Luna Maria confesses to feeling anxious, though Will thinks she appears composed. She explains that her true self remains unchanged, no matter the setting or attire. Will listens intently, gaining insight into her calm demeanor. He tells Luna Maria she looks lovely in her dress, causing her to blush. Karen twirls into the room, calling out to Lord Will with enthusiasm. She asks for his opinion on her appearance, and he responds with an excited thumbs up. A bespectacled maid steps forward to address Lord Will and Lady Luna Maria. She offers to guide them to the dining hall for the welcome dinner. A splendid roasted bird serves as the centerpiece of an extravagant feast. The dining hall is magnificent, featuring a long table set for the guests. Victor greets them, asking if they managed to relax and unwind. Will, looking rejuvenated and cheerful, confirms that he did. A maid guides Will to his place at the grand dining table. Karen cheerfully points out that Will is seated right next to her. Luna Maria sits across from them, her expression inscrutable. A maid with feline ears offers to pour a drink for Will. The focus shifts to the maid's unique furry ears. She pours a dark, thick liquid into Will's ornate goblet. The liquid swirls ominously in the glass, its surface dark and reflective. Luna Maria's eyes narrow sharply as she observes the unfolding scene. Victor raises his glass, preparing to propose a toast to his guests. Will interrupts, declaring that the drink is poisoned. The word poison reverberates outside the grand manor beneath a dark sky. Victor's face twists in shock and disbelief at the accusation. Karen gasps, her eyes wide with terror at the sudden turn of events. The other maids in the room are equally stunned and speechless. Luna Maria asks Will if his assertion about the poison is genuinely true. Standing firm, Will confirms there is no doubt about it. A A wave of anxiety and murmurs spreads throughout the dining hall. Karen turns to Will, her voice quivering as she seeks confirmation. Will gives a resolute silent nod, his expression deadly serious. He explains that his mother, Mariah the healer, educated him about various poisons. He recognized the poison by its slight cloudiness and its hidden deadly scent. Intrigued, Luna Maria asks if she can smell the drink herself. A blonde woman in an elegant gown carefully brings the goblet to her lips to sniff. She announces there's something more than just juice, leaving the nearby maids in shock. Horror dawns on her as she realizes the odd scent is also present in Karen's glass. Victor, the host, is taken aback as Will confirms the strange smells in everyone's drinks. Victor calls for his butler, Johann, who promptly replies with a sharp, "Yes, sir." Victor asserts with grim confidence that his household's food management is flawless. He deduces that if Will is right, a poisoner lurks among them. Concerned, Karen watches her father and calls out to him. Victor faces Will, inquiring if he recognizes the poison he mentioned before. Will affirms, explaining this is a secret poison known only to a specific race. He spins around, recalling the name of the race his mother once mentioned. He identifies the race as the Fox people, his gaze sweeping over the maids. Pointing, he zeroes in on one maid with his accusation. He confronts a servant with fox-like ears, demanding to know her true identity. The head maid, wearing glasses, reacts with disbelief and shock. She turns to the accused maid, Dahlia, asking if the claims hold any truth. Panicking, Dahlia fervently denies the accusation, questioning her motive. She tries to undermine the guests, labeling their claims as dubious and absurd. Will dismisses her frantic denials with a cool, unimpressed wave. He challenges her, asking if she genuinely claims the wine isn't poisoned. To make his point, Will raises the goblet to his lips, poised to drink. Suddenly, a hand shoots out, halting his movement before he can sip. The goblet is knocked from his hand, spilling its contents onto the floor. Victor glares at Dahlia, his voice icy as he declares she cannot fool him. In an instant, Victor draws a blade and plunges it into the treacherous maid. The blade retracts swiftly after delivering a brutal strike. Victor holds the limp, defeated form of the would-be poisoner. He turns to the head maid, Ruby Lil, inquiring about Dahlia's employment history. Ruby Lil confirms she was an outstanding maid, having served for 6 months. From the side, Karen quietly calls out to her father. She points out that 6 months ago, the Galde company became more aggressive. Victor instructs Johann to interrogate the captured maid for all possible details. The sound of a door creaking open signals a shift in scene and time. Later, Will stands on a balcony at night with a blonde woman. Victor enters, apologizing for the disastrous welcome banquet. Will reassures him, expressing relief that a real emergency was avoided. Victor's expression softens with gratitude upon hearing this. The blonde woman steps forward, asking if she can pose a question. She requests more details about the Galde company mentioned earlier. Victor's face darkens at the mention, a troubled look crossing his features. He begins to explain that Northwood is a wealthy city with numerous merchant companies. However, about a year ago, a new company began aggressively consuming the others. He identifies this predatory force as the Galdig Company. Victor describes their business methods as wicked, cunning, and merciless. A map reveals Galdig's control over the northwest, while Anaheim resists in the southeast. Victor declares that their era of passive resistance has come to an end. Karen appears, holding a small box, ready to deliver her report. She confirms that Dahlia admitted her orders originated from the Galde Company. The maid was coerced into compliance because her family was taken hostage. Her directive to poison them stemmed directly from a failed kidnapping attempt. Until now, they lacked clear evidence and were always one step behind. Victor proclaims with fierce determination that they will unveil Galdi's wicked actions. Will offers his assistance, but his friend warns him to stay out of it. With a mischievous grin, Victor quips that he wants his future son-in-law involved. He then remembers their actual goal, finding the holy sword in the spirit forest. The blonde woman requests permission to enter the forest owned by his company. Victor ponders their request, surprising Will and his companion with his uncertainty. Karen bursts into a furious laugh, pouting at her father's teasing. Will and the blonde woman attempt to soothe her, insisting it was merely a joke. Victor grins, confirming he was joking, and readily gives his consent. He clarifies that his permission was never truly necessary to begin with. He explains that his family's fortune stems from overseeing the city's extensive lumber trade. They can proceed as they wish, as long as they don't engage in illegal logging or poaching. He expresses his suspicion that Galde is scheming to take control of those woods. The holy sword was merely found within the forest they manage. He encourages them not to hesitate if their journey leads them there. With renewed resolve, Will and the blonde woman eagerly accept his blessing. Victor admits that was his modest attempt to motivate them for their adventure. He then questions Will if he genuinely believes he can extract the legendary sword. Will confesses he lacks a hero's mark and is simply following a divine vision. Karen and her friend assert their unwavering belief that Will is their hero. Victor notices their strong faith, while Will sweats nervously under the spotlight. He admits their optimism is contagious and asks if Will intends to depart tomorrow. Will confirms he plans to rest and then embark on their true quest in the morning. Karen eagerly tugs at Will's arm, excited to celebrate. Her father, taken aback by her boldness, forbids her from leaving home for a while. Karen disregards him, offering to guide Will and witness his victory firsthand. The blonde woman glares, clearly disapproving of Karen's possessive attitude. She declares she will sleep next to Will for warmth, which Karen vehemently opposes. The two girls lock eyes, rivalry crackling between them. Karen dares her to a chess match to determine the victor. Later that night, the two girls peacefully slumber together in the same bed. Will stands alone by the window, lost in thought as he gazes at the full moon. Meanwhile, a brutish man roars in rage, smashing a window in his fury. Master Gulad silences a trembling subordinate who dares to speak against him. The subordinate cries out his master's name in utter fear. Galdi seethes, furious that they were so close to dismantling the Anaheim family. He screams that their failure to poison or abduct was a waste of his time. A subordinate blames their failure on the formidable bodyguard of the Anaheim family. Galdo spins around, still boiling with uncontrollable rage. A mysterious hooded figure speaks to him from the shadows of the room. The figure reminds Galdi of their extensive collaboration to seize the city. Galde acknowledges this, vowing to repay his debt with double the interest. He strides across the room towards a small, ornate wooden box. The box opens, revealing a peculiar, intricately carved whistle inside. With a decisive crash, he slams the box's lid shut. Galdi holds up the giant's whistle, revealing he paid a steep price for it. Beneath the same full moon, a forest glows with eerie lights. A lantern shines brightly, its light piercing through the heavy darkness. The hooded figure kneels in a clearing, having reached their destination. In the dark forest, a twig snaps sharply under an unseen foot. A cloaked figure moves stealthily through the foliage, holding a small lantern. Kneeling before a radiant sword embedded in stone, the figure ponders how long it's been since a human last came. The viewpoint shifts, revealing a young couple strolling through the sun-drenched woods. Two tiny birds sit on a branch, watching the serene forest scene unfold. Glancing upward, the sun beams brightly through a gap in the thick canopy. Will, the young man, observes that the sun is already high, indicating they've traveled quite a distance. Maria, his companion, calmly points out that even seasoned travelers need half a day to reach their goal. Peering through the trees, she expresses confidence that they will soon find the holy sword. With her eyes shut, she describes feeling a growing aura of sanctity. Perched on a massive root, Will anxiously spins around, questioning if they've lost their way. Maria reassures him, confident they will find the sword if they keep heading this way. Will expresses his astonishment at her ability to perceive such things. As they continue, he comments on the enchanting and enigmatic nature of the forest. Maria agrees, adding that the atmosphere feels incredibly tranquil and soothing. Her serene observation is abruptly interrupted by Will's uncontrollable laughter. Apologizing, he explains that the silence reminded him of their boisterous friend, Karen. Maria chuckles, agreeing that Karen was full of life and never stopped talking in the carriage. Will reminisces about Karen's enthusiastic, almost desperate eagerness to join them that morning. Maria thoughtfully observes that Karen's positivity despite her struggles adds to her charm. Will's expression turns serious as he admits feeling anxious, hoping nothing unfortunate befalls them. He resolves to press on and return with good news for their companions. He confesses his own curiosity about witnessing the holy sword firsthand. A mystical light begins to shine, illuminating the path before them. They step into a clearing, gazing in awe at a sword lodged in a massive boulder. Will exhales in wonder as Maria confirms that this is indeed the holy sword. Overwhelmed with excitement, Will exclaims he's only ever read about it in stories until now. A condescending voice suddenly interrupts, ridiculing his foolish expression of wonder. Startled, Will and Maria quickly turn toward the source of the unexpected voice. A young man with blonde hair, Levine, scolds Will for shouting someone's name so loudly. Will gasps Levine's name in surprise as Levine continues his lecture on etiquette. Slightly embarrassed, Will confirms his name to the arrogant newcomer. He inquires about Levine's presence and whether his servant Lynx is accompanying him. A quick realization hits Will. The person he saw in the city was indeed Lynx. Levine proudly proclaims himself the hero of the sword, here to claim what belongs to him. He mentions that his servant is in a nearby town, leaving him here alone. Maria dryly remarks that she's surprised he didn't bring a crowd to witness this moment. A vein pulses on Levine's forehead, clearly irritated by her comment. Fuming, he angrily tells the insolent fools to be quiet. Levine gestures angrily for them to leave, declaring that the holy sword is his. With a smug smirk, he adds that someone like Will could never pull it out anyway. Will and Maria stand firm, their determination unwavering despite the taunts. Will retorts that they can't leave, as they have a specific mission to accomplish. The focus shifts to the magnificent sword, a symbol of their united purpose. Maria calmly asks Will to hold on a moment as she prepares to address Levine. Turning to Levine, she politely asks if she can pose a single question. She points out that he arrived before them and questions why he hasn't drawn the sword yet. Will reacts in shock, instantly grasping the implication behind her question. Maria speculates that perhaps another requirement exists since the sword has remained there for over a decade. Will connects the dots, recalling the legend that only the hero of the sword can extract it. He concludes that if Levine can't pull it out, he must be an imposter. An intricate, ancient design hints at a deeper, hidden requirement. Levine clenches his jaw, insisting the sword belongs to him because he heard its call. In a flashback, he struggles, questioning why the sword refuses to respond to the hero. Back in the present, Will incredulously asks if the sword can truly talk. Levine shouts in exasperation, baffled by the sword's cryptic words. The sword's voice confirms it indeed spoke to the chosen hero. Introducing itself as Durandal, the sword comments on the rare assembly of destined souls. Durandal recognizes the young woman as the priestess of the great mother goddess. It then turns to Will, sensing the divine blessing within him. The sword also acknowledges Levine as the true hero. Levine silently affirms his suspicion that Will is no ordinary child. Durandal interrupts, capturing Will's attention with its next statement. It declares that despite his blessing, Will stands no chance of freeing it. Will faces the sword, provoked by its condescending tone. He snaps back, irritated by being told he lacks the ability. With determination, Will leaps onto the stone pedestal to confront the sword. Durandal dares him to try, and Will grips the hilt, ready to pull. His gaze sharpens, filled with intense focus and unwavering determination. With a powerful roar, he strains against the hilt as Maria calls out in alarm. The air crackles with his immense effort, yet the sword remains unmoved. Maria notes that the sword won't budge, as if it were part of the earth. From afar, Levine observes Will's futile struggle, a smug grin on his face. Maria watches with concern as Will pours all his strength into the effort. Durandal's voice coolly informs him that his attempts are futile. Sweat drips down Will's face as the sword tells him he's merely wasting energy. Levine boasts loudly, ridiculing Will for his bravado and ultimate failure. Fuming from the insults, Will declares he's genuinely angry and will unleash his full power. In a surge of strength, he tears the entire stone pedestal from the ground. Levine and Maria stand in shock, their expressions frozen in disbelief. Will, with the sword still lodged in the boulder, exclaims, "Oops!" as it wobbles. The onlookers can only gawk, puzzled by what just transpired. Levine concludes that the freak yanked out the whole pedestal. His strength is absurd. The massive boulder crashes down with a thunderous boom. Panting, Will admits it's futile, as the sword's weight is too much to bear. Maria can only remark on the impressive feat, while Will appears uncertain. Durandal's voice chimes in, stating this has never occurred before. Will sheepishly apologizes for his outburst, but Durandal insists no one could foresee this. The sword explains this incident reveals a truth. One must possess the hero's mark to wield it. It tells Levine that his failure stems from his immaturity and the issues he's avoiding. Will questions why Levine, the rightful owner, couldn't draw the sword. The focus shifts to Levine standing alone, the weight of the sword's words heavy on him. Durandal explains that if Levine attempted to take the sword now, it would lead to his demise. Will tells Maria he sensed this truth himself. He remembers feeling a deep insecurity radiating from Levine during their clash. Maria finds this hard to accept, given Levine's usual boastful demeanor. Will gazes thoughtfully at Levine, contemplating the true essence of a hero. Suddenly, the ground begins to shake violently beneath them. Will instinctively pulls his friends into a protective embrace as the world trembles. Levine looks on in alarm, shouting to ask what is happening. A sudden earthquake violently shakes the forest, startling a dark-haired young man and his companion. The tremor fades quickly, and Luna Maria expresses her gratitude to Will for safeguarding her. A deep, resonant voice emerges from the holy sword lodged in a nearby stone. Durandal, the sword, speaks to the hero, the priestess, and the divine child, issuing a warning. Suddenly, Durandal detects the stirring of an ancient evil that has awakened from its slumber. This dark force now threatens the nearby city with imminent danger. In Northwood, emergency bells ring out frantically from a towering structure. A guard races along the battlements, urgency etched on her face as she raises the alarm. Panicked residents rush through the streets, fleeing the peril from the eastern forest. A young girl screams in fear, trapped in the midst of the chaos. 3 adventurers observe the calamity from the relative safety of the city walls. A city official barks orders for all citizens to evacuate to the central shelter without delay. His face is grim as another man watches from a nearby doorway. A weathered commander ponders why such beasts would suddenly attack their tranquil city. He recalls the ancient tale of the Holy War fought between the gods and the Demon King. From the forest emerges a terrifying horde of one-eyed giants known as Cyclops. The brutish creatures crash through the trees, their massive forms exuding raw power. On the wall, a soldier informs her captain that the evacuation of the city is complete. The captain notes the giants are colossal, nearly 10 meters tall and numerous. The soldier salutes, confirming that the city's forces have also been successfully assembled. The captain acknowledges the report with a grim understanding, preparing for the impending battle. Archers on the ramparts are ordered to take aim at the advancing giants. Foot soldiers and cavalry are instructed to flank the giants to disrupt their advance. The commander rallies his troops, shouting that they must not let the giants near the walls. The Northwood guards advance to confront the monstrous threat head-on. He reminds them that the city's safety relies on their honor as protectors. A lone soldier stands frozen in fear before the giant's unblinking eye. The giant swivels its head, its icy gaze locking onto a new target. The city's commander looks up, his face a mask of horrified disbelief. The giant's enormous hand wraps around the commander, squeezing him without mercy. The monster's eye burns with cold, destructive intent as it crushes its prey. A mounted knight swoops in, rescuing the paralyzed soldier from a grim fate. The saved soldier stutters his thanks while the knight scolds his recklessness. She advises him to use agility and distance against the slow yet powerful giants. On the wall, an archer captain prepares to issue the command to fire. He instructs his archers to unleash a volley of arrows at the approaching giants. Arrows strike the giant's hide but bounce off its tough skin without effect. The giant glares, more annoyed than harmed by the ineffective assault. The commander notes with frustration that the giant's skin is too resilient to penetrate. He urgently commands his troops to retreat from the invulnerable monster. The giant hurls a massive uprooted tree toward the city's defenses. The projectile crashes into the wall, causing the stone to shatter on impact. The impact creates a massive explosion, shattering a section of the wall. Soldiers are thrown off their feet amidst the smoke and flying debris. Another giant effortlessly yanks a tree from the ground with its bare hands. It strains, preparing to launch another devastating projectile at the city. The sound of snapping wood echoes as it readies its makeshift weapon. A soldier screams a warning as the next attack is about to commence. A massive ballista bolt suddenly streaks through the air, striking a giant. The siege weapon operators confirm a direct hit on their colossal target. The impaled giant stumbles backward and crashes heavily to the ground. The soldiers erupt in cheers, reveling in their minor triumph as they topple a giant. A subordinate relays the victory to his commander, whose expression remains stern. The commander commands the relocation of heavy crossbows to the endangered eastern wall. He grimly ponders how long they can withstand such formidable adversaries. A commanding voice intones an incantation, summoning the flame of the Crimson Lotus. A colossal fireball detonates, engulfing another giant in a roaring blaze. The giant writhes in pain as the magical flames devour it. In the midst of chaos, a giant's foot crashes down, shattering a soldier's helmet. The broken helmet lies abandoned on the ground, a stark reminder of the giant's might. A blonde warrior vaults through the air, letting out a fierce battle cry. Her face radiates determination as she launches her assault. She delivers a powerful kick to the side of a giant's head. With a smirk, she observes that the giant's skin is indeed remarkably tough. Nearby, a small cleric in a hood kneels beside an injured commander. A soft light emanates from her hands as she employs her healing magic. She gives a thumbs up, cheerfully assuring the grateful commander that he's healed. The commander gazes at his enigmatic saviors, still in a state of confusion. He inquires about their identities, sweat trickling down his brow. The mage introduces them as members of the hero of the sword's party. She mentions that other adventurers are also stepping up to defend the city. The commander eagerly asks where the legendary hero of the sword is. The city's defenders persist in their desperate struggle against the giant horde below. The mage apologetically clarifies that the hero is currently absent. She rallies the troops, urging them to unite and safeguard the city. The battle rages on, with soldiers fighting against overwhelming odds. The mage's public confidence masks her deep-seated concern for her master. She reflects on how he has never left the party without a word before. A soldier emits a final scream as he succumbs to the enemy's onslaught. Her thoughts resonate across the vast expanse, questioning where Master Levine has gone. Far away, Will dashes through the forest, carrying Luna Maria in his arms. Levine struggles to keep up, astonished by Will's speed while carrying someone. Will checks on Luna Maria, who urges him to hurry as fast as he can. His expression hardens with resolve as he concentrates on their goal. Levine senses danger and questions what Will means by that. Will explains that a potent ancient seal in this land has been broken. Levine is taken aback, asking what kind of seal he is referring to. Will recounts the ancient tale of the Holy Sword to his companions. He speaks of a time when God still existed and waged a holy war. The war concluded with the Demon King sealed away by the gods. The Demon King's Cyclops army was also imprisoned in this very land. The three companions exchange grim looks, understanding the gravity of the situation. Levine teasingly suggests that Will broke the seal by drawing the sword. Will quickly and nervously refutes the claim, feeling relieved. Luna Maria, looking worried, weakly calls out to Lord Will. Will nods, grasping the seriousness of the predicament they now face. Levine insists they must return to the city at once to assist. Will feels torn, knowing he could fly back alone but can't leave them behind. Luna Maria tells him to follow his instincts, fully trusting his judgment. Will turns to Levine, asking her for a favor to resolve their predicament. With urgency to return to the city, Will proposes a plan to Levine. She scoffs, instantly dismissing his suggestion with an unimpressed attitude. Levine realizes he's essentially asking her to play babysitter. Stating she has her own allies to protect, Levine declares she'll move ahead. Blocked, Will hatches a new plan, referencing a strategy from Mother Mirius's trial. As Will stretches, a puzzled Luna Maria inquires about the strategy he means. He leans in, whispering the plan directly into Luna Maria's ear. Levine yells in disbelief, questioning if Will has the stamina to run while carrying someone. Now with Luna Maria in tow, Will confidently claims he's a pro at navigating forests. With a daring grin, he tells Levine she should be worried about being left behind. His taunt provokes Levine, her face twisting in shock and competitive fury. Furious, she accepts his challenge, declaring a race to the city. As they sprint through the woods, Luna Maria questions if he's sure about returning. He reassures her, mentioning he still has her borrowed power. She brushes off his worry, confident she can reach the city alone. Will's mind drifts to the city, filled with concern for Karen and her family. Gazing at the distant city walls, he expresses his hope for their safety. Inside the mansion, Karen peers out a window, just as a thug seizes her from behind. A car speeds away from the Grand Anaheim mansion beneath a cloudy sky. Lord Victor Anaheim enters his study, weariness etched on his face from the day's events. He collapses into his chair, clearly overwhelmed by the stress of the situation. Pinching the bridge of his nose, he struggles to grasp the unbelievable news. A teacup suddenly slips from his grasp, showcasing his deep shock and disbelief. He ponders the absurdity of giants attacking from the nearby eastern forest. The disastrous events feel too interconnected for him to dismiss as mere coincidence. A knock at the door disrupts his dark thoughts about the attack's true motives. His butler, Johann, enters the study, addressing his lord with utmost respect. Johann informs Lord Victor that the carriage is prepared for their swift evacuation. Lord Victor agrees, urging Johann to act quickly. He inquires about his daughter, and Johann confirms all servants are safe. A gentle smile of relief crosses his face as he expresses gratitude for her safety. A mocking voice echoes his relief, shattering the brief moment of comfort. The thug reveals Karen's capture, boasting that it saved him a lot of hassle. Victor and Johann react with shock and fury at this dreadful turn of events. The full scene reveals the captor holding Karen hostage in the lavish hallway. Victor screams his daughter's name as the captor warns him to stay still. Tears stream down Karen's face as she offers a choked apology to her father. The captor presses his sharp blade against her throat, heightening the threat. Victor clenches his fist, facing a mask of suppressed rage and helplessness. Raising his hands in surrender, he agrees to the captor's demands. He demands the release of his daughter from the minion of the Galda Company. The captor glances menacingly, confirming Victor's fears about his allegiance. A new, imposing figure in full armor suddenly appears in the doorway. Johann steps protectively in front of his lord, ready to defend him. The captor states he's there to take Victor with him. He adds that Gald, his head, also desires Karen to accompany them. He cruelly grips Karen's chin, his thumb digging into her delicate cheek. He sneers, claiming she and Will have put them through a great ordeal. In a sudden act of defiance, Karen bites down hard on his finger. The captor yelps in pain and surprise, exclaiming that she bit him. Furious at her defiance, he raises his hand to strike her down. Victor yells for his butler, urgently pleading for his help. Johann leaps into action, a swift blur as he charges ahead. He strikes the captor's arm with a fierce chop, halting the assault. The captor screams in pain as Johann's forceful hit lands. He stumbles back, losing his grip on the sword as he falters. Victor's eyes widen in disbelief at his butler's sudden effectiveness. Johann's face is set in grim determination as he finishes his move. The impact of the blow sends the captor crashing across the room. A new, more menacing figure observes the chaos with quiet glee. The situation has flipped. The captor lies defeated on the ground. Johann apologizes to his lord for the abrupt and violent action. He stands poised, his own ornate sword now drawn defensively. A swordsman clad in Eastern attire appears, shifting the mood instantly. He acknowledges Johann's talent, but dismisses his weapon as mere decoration. The vanquished thug gratefully acknowledges the newcomer for saving him. Victor clenches his fist, realizing the new threat is far more severe. The swordsman scolds his subordinate for failing to capture their target. He turns to Victor, claiming not everyone is as inept as his lackey. With his hand on his katana, he threatens Victor if he resists. Victor recognizes the katana as a rare and lethal weapon from the East. He quietly inquires if rescuing Karen is still a viable option. Johann admits uncertainty, noting the new man's impressive skills. Victor resolves to sacrifice himself for even the slightest chance to save her. He pleads with Johann to save Karen, even at the cost of his own life. With determination, Victor steps forward, his mind made up. He shouts at his captors, demanding they take him to their master, Galde. Outside the mansion, the kidnappers ready 2 carriages for their captives. A thug roughly pushes Karen into one of the carriages with a thud. With his hands tied, Victor protests the harsh treatment of his daughter. The swordsman knocks Johann out cold to prevent further issues. Johann collapses, incapacitated by the swordsman's swift blow. Their scheme is to make Victor's disappearance appear as a casualty of the chaos. With their captives secured, the swordsman commands the carriages to depart. The heavy doors of the carriage slam shut, trapping Victor and Karen inside. The 2 carriages begin to rattle away from the Anaheim mansion grounds. They leave the estate behind, heading toward an unknown and perilous destination. From the edge of the forest, a lone maid watches the carriages leave. Peeking from behind a tree, her face is etched with concern for her lady. Inside the rattling carriage, Victor prepares to confront his captor. He fixes his sharp gaze on the swordsman, filled with accusation. He questions whether the massive attack was planned by the Galde Company. The swordsman listens, his expression unreadable beneath his wide-brimmed hat. He sidesteps the question, claiming to be merely a hired hand. He suggests Victor ask Master Galda himself when they meet soon. Victor is left with his dreadful suspicions confirmed but still unanswered. In the other carriage, Karen sits closely beside her restrained father. He checks on his daughter, asking if she is unharmed after the ordeal. He apologizes, taking the blame for being outsmarted by their foes. She reassures him, her spirit unbroken despite the capture. With tears brimming, Karen vows to wait faithfully for their chance. Her father gazes in astonishment, questioning the sudden strength of his daughter's resolve. A glimmer of hope flickers across the man's face as he contemplates her words. He then inquires if she genuinely trusts the young boy and his cloaked ally. Motivated by her belief, the father resolves not to abandon hope himself. Miles away, as if sensing her plea, Will halts suddenly while carrying Luna Maria. He comes to a sudden stop on the forest trail. With Luna Maria in his arms, Will's demeanor shifts to serious as he detects something off. Luna Maria, worried by his abrupt pause, asks him what's wrong. He glances up, saying he felt as though someone had just called out to him. Close by, the blonde warrior Levine slams her palm against a tree in fatigue. Breathing heavily, she attempts to mock Will, questioning if he's already winded. The warrior is depicted sprinting with all her strength, struggling to keep up. She strikes a confident pose, claiming she has energy, though her bravado is thin. Will's face darkens, a drop of sweat rolling down his concentrated features. He expresses a troubling feeling and urges them to move faster. His intuition proves right as a massive creature wreaks havoc in Northwood. From her carriage window, Karen's reflection observes the chaos unfolding in the city. The air crackles with tension as the two sides prepare for battle. A sudden silence falls, broken only by the sound of clashing swords.